Hello and welcome back to another episode of Sports Rundown. How's everybody getting on tonight?
Good. How are you, LB?
Yeah, very good. Back to any of our regular viewers and anyone who's new. We're going to do our usual Friday entertainment, which is a combination of bets and commentary in various different sports betting activity on the European football tonight. So you might see some different types of shows in the not too distant future, but tonight it'll be all European football. So I think the main thing we're going to look at tonight is the £20 challenge that we'll be doing for weeks, lads, if you want to run our newer viewers through that.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, we're all here to make a bit of money, but no harm having a bit of competition between us as well while we're doing it. So the idea is that we all start with 20 quid. We bet on in-play matches throughout the night, whatever takes our fancy. We can fire our whole bank at it, or we kind of split up our 20 quid and make it a bit safe, not risk the whole lot in one bet. And we keep going. Hopefully we'll all make a bit of profit and not end up with zero. And then at the end of the show, we'll just kind of see who has done best out of their betting for the night. So that's the gist of it anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully we all get a few quid off the bookies anyway,
Yeah. Did you have anything picked out for your first bet, Slats, or what you're gonna look at initially?
I don't yet. No, I mean the Dutch 2 League, it will be kicking off at 8 o'clock. So that's the only thing I've looked at for maybe a first half goal. I like the kind of getting off to an early start. We've talked about it before. If you're backing goals for a match, you could end up having to wait most of the 90 minutes before your bet comes in. So if you go for first half goals, you kind of get tasty enough odds, and you can get that money into the bank pretty quick. So that's the market I'll be looking at. Maybe there's earlier kickoffs, and I'll have a look at any 7:30 or quarter-day kickoffs as well, and maybe getting something there.
Yeah, I'll have to do something myself as well. I was very unprepared last week. I think I was out of the running before we ever really even got going.
No, but the other three of us did pretty well last week. I think we all.
That only makes it worse.
Yeah, I started off all right, but I actually didn't end up. I got a bit too over adventurous towards the end. So
that can happen,
especially down too well, Gary, and just started putting it all on.
Yeah, so I ended up slightly down, but at one stage I was a decent bit up, and then start punting a bit too much. So gotta keep.
Did you actually end up down? I think then actually I did better than you last week. I finished on exactly what I started, so I went from 15 up to about 17, 15, and then back down to 15. I think it was desperate, but I didn't end up down. That's
nothing wrong with breaking even.
No, definitely not.
The best we can possibly hope for. And in the background, Gary, you got an accumulator picked out for us that you're going to track throughout the night.
Yeah, so it's a treble. So it's the Wolves Leeds game. Rafinha to have 2+ shots on target at 11-4. So Rafinha, he kind of has been growing into the Leeds team over the last couple of months. But really in the last couple of games, he's been playing really, really well. Scored 2 goals in the last 5. Takes a lot of shots. I think the big thing is Wolves concede a lot of shots or allow a lot of shots on goals. So Rafinha just seemed more value than the Banter did with Rafinha being 11-4. So that's the first leg, and as I said, even though it's 11-4, I'd be fairly confident of it. The second leg is Frosinone to win at home to Pescara. So Pescara has been bottom of the table. They've only picked up 8 of 33 points at home this season. And Frosinone, even though they haven't been doing great in terms of form recently, they've been playing a lot of the kind of better teams in the league. So I think they can pull it out of the bag at home to Pescara today. And then staying in Italy for the third leg of travel is Cagliari versus Torino. So both of these teams are in similar positions in the league. I think it's 17th versus 18th. But with that, both concede and score an awful lot in their head-to-head last season. I think it was 3-2 and 4-2. The games finished. So 4-6 about the both teams to score look like a good bet. So it's a 10-1 treble. And I'm just going to post in the link to the bet. So if anybody does want to back it and get on with us, they can. So
10-1 or 25-1, Gary. There was some confusion about that earlier.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. But I put the link in there. So
so that's to our sportsrundown.com website. We post that article 24 hours before the stream, so it just kind of gives the rundown of the stats that back up our justification for that, Aka. And it just gives some of the details if people do want to get on it. And just so because sometimes when we start the show, one or two of these games can nearly be underway already, so it does give people a bit more time to get involved.
Yeah, I suppose the link I put in there was actually the link that brings you directly to a bet slip to be able to bet on it now. But I will put in the link to the sportsrundown.com and the article. So if you want to do a bit of reading on our analysis beforehand, you obviously can do. So both of those links are in the comments at the minute. So as I said, have a read, have a bet, and get on with us. I think just before, I suppose there's plenty of time for it, but I know you mentioned this lads about his kind of first BETALONG bet.
If you're about to take the one I'm looking at here, I'll be livid, but you got there first, so I'll have to let you go.
Well, it's a first half goal in the Serie B game is what I'm going to go for. So, like Pescara, 73% of those their games have had a first half goal. So that's done it for me. So I'm going to go up and tee it up here. Gives a little bit of a wait before that kicks off. But I said I want to start with a safe one and try and build my bank and not lose it initially. So I'm going full 20 quid in on a first half goal in that game.
I was actually tempted to do two first half goals in the SerieA match, but I just thought I'm actually going to do one. So one goal is 2-5 and two first half goals is 11-5. But I'm just going to do the one, and then my plan was to roll it onto that Serie B game. I think there could be an early goal. If there's not, at least I'm not kind of leaving myself in that deep hole of two first half goals. So I'm going to take one, and then hopefully I'm putting more than 20 on the same bet as you. It'll be my second bet, so I won't feel like I'm pinching your pocket.
Well, I was definitely eyeing up that Cagliari game for my first bet for a first half goal. It was my part of our treble in the ACA for both teams.
No, that's not how this works at all.
I know this is different, but I feel like I've already done the research into that game, so I feel like I have ownership of it or something.
Possessive, huh?
yeah, that's not the way it works, lads.
I feel like you've read the article and have robbed my impressive stats on why there's going to be goals in that game.
Copy your bet as my first bet and copy Gary's as my second bet.
I was actually tempted by the double in fairness. I thought that the double of first half goal in both of the Italian games was a bit of value as well.
I've had an awful lot of bad luck recently with combining bets, so I'm going to stick to the singles tonight, see how it pans out. Still a little bit raw after that one on, was it Thursday night, the Europa League? So,
last night. Yeah, anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, if you check out our socials or our Twitter or our Instagram page, you'll see the bet that LB did yesterday. So it was a 15 games, LB, for
it was all Europa League games.
Yeah,
every single one of them.
Yeah, I think the one game kicked off at like 4 o'clock, so we didn't have that in there. But all of the later games, 15 of them over 1.5 goals, and it was just the Leicester game to let it down. So unlucky, but probably best that it happened in the earlier round of games rather than happening towards the end of the evening. Like you knew you were gone from 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, rather than
I don't know.
being on tenter hooks.
It's less painful, but in hindsight, I actually ended up just chasing that loss all evening, and it didn't get me anywhere. So I wish I only found out. Yeah, I think it would have been happier if it had panned out differently.
Even with the big red L in amongst the 14 green W's, it's still some impressive looking bet slip. Like like 15 games and 14 W's going down.
But if I just those new screenshots you can take where you scroll down and every bet slip below it just L. So, yeah, not my best evening. This match is just kicking off here now in the Serie A, so that's going to be my entertainment for the next 15 minutes. I think most of the viewers who click in for the Leeds match, you will realise that that's an 8 p.m. kickoff, so we'll have the Italian match up on screen, the graphics that we usually share, and then at 8 p.m. we'll switch over to our headline game, the Premier League match.
Just to mention to anyone who is viewing to, like them, subscribe if they enjoy what we're doing with the show.
Even if you don't enjoy it, we'd appreciate it if you like to subscribe.
You can still subscribe. We grow on you anyway.
Hopefully, yeah. In that card
don't be afraid to interact as well, guys. So there's a comment box there for a reason. So any questions, comments, feedback you have, throw it in there. And Joe, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I see we're about to return to our full contingent here.
Yeah. All right.
I was just going to say, don't tell this guy what your bets are, though, because he's probably going to lay them and then cheer against you for the rest.
Well, actually,
be careful.
Actually, if I can comment and apologise for everyone for being late, but I decided after last weekend there was some heartbreak, and there was some very.
To do with the football, it was just a heartbreaking weekend for you, Lee, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was heartbreak in general, right? And then the football was heartbreak for most people, but compared to what's happening, it's not much heartbreak. But I decided, Gary, unfortunately, after your shout on the Sunday, was it, when we were all in on something and I missed it by a miscommunication on hours from CET to GMT. I decided then that I'm going to take a stand and beat a contract.
All right.
What was that bet again? I'm actually coming to forget.
Brentford.
Oh yeah.
Which we don't really want to speak about again, but
no.
Now that you're bringing it up
again.
Well, it's pretty appropriate actually that you're taking the contraposition, Lee. Considering what we're going to introduce to our new viewers tonight, and everybody actually tonight, even if you're familiar with the show, we're going to have a slightly new take on it. So you can see on the screen there we've got 10 different markets that are in play in the Wolves Leeds match, and Gary and Lee have got the opposite contrapositions on them. So
yeah,
we'll run through the markets in a minute, but the short of it is that as the game goes on, these markets are, they'll come live and then they'll finish, and whichever of the two guys has the most wins at the end of the match, or actually looking at some of these could be over before the match is even finished, is the winner of our first kind of new take on the bet along. So I was going to say it offline, but I thought maybe it's better to do it on the air and put you under a bit of pressure. What the forfeit will be for whichever one of you loses.
Well, I was wondering. So, I would just first of all, is this going to be tracked throughout the rest of the season, and we're going to have a leaderboard, or is there just going to be some sort of forfeit /
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that we'd have a leaderboard, and then I was kind of thinking, rather than 3 points for a win or whatever, or 1 point for a win, whatever we would do it, however much you win by. So if it's 6-4 to Gary tonight, he gets 2 points, or if it's 7-3 to Mark, he gets 4 points.
I assume we're having a side bet on it though as well. So.
Oh yeah,
I was going to say earlier, we put money on it or what?
You have to.
Of course.
No one's tuning into a bet along to see Gary take home 2 nominal points at the end of the night.
You name the stake league one. You're the challenger.
Well, I don't know how
the
much
challenger. Take it easy, Gary.
What popped into my head earlier was, €50, but I don't know if that.
That's what I was thinking. I think that's a
50,
great one.
right? Go on. We'll do a nifty. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough. What do we say? Slotty or 50 or?
It's Slotty.
Yeah.
All right. So €50 or £1. Sorry, Abby.
I think euro is fine because it's the common currency between the two of you.
Okay.
But
is that 50 for every point you win by?
Yeah, it's 50 a point. Yeah, of course.
50 a point. Yeah. The
so
higher
potentially 500 quid.
Clean. So Billy Big Balls here saying all this, but when it's me against you next week, I'm not going to have any interest.
I would say 50 in total, a fiver per bet.
I hope I'm not the only one who's misunderstanding this, but I thought it was. There's 10 bets, so let's say a fiver a point then.
No, I think 50. Take all 50 the winner. Well, actually, it's up to you guys because it's you.
Yeah. So right, 50 total. And what happens if it's 5 and 5? We're going to stick a bonus bet on the end.
I think you both owe me and Slats 50 each. We'll just take it.
Fair enough.
I'm done with that.
So we'll just quickly run through the markets for anyone who's finds it difficult to read or whatever might be going on with the small writing on the screen. The first one is a nice simple will there be a throw in the first 5 minutes. So most bookies, certainly the ones we looked at today, that's a more or less even money market. Same with a goal kick in the first 5 minutes. And that one surprised me, Slats. I didn't think it would be even money for a goal kick to be that, 5 minutes in without a goal kick, but that seems to be as well. So Lee's got both of those, yes. Gary's hoping that there's the ball doesn't go out of play at all in the first 5 minutes.
That seems so unlikely.
Yeah. As you can tell, it's a very scientific way of betting.
Well, actually, a corner would be okay, right?
No, a corner, yeah.
Corner,
even a goal,
like
as long as it doesn't go wide or over that sideline.
Yeah, I tried to narrow it down.
I've resigned myself to losing that one. But I think I'll make it back in the
later on
more analytical
there
ones
could be
later on.
To this.
It'll be a more analytical victory considering.
Look at them, he's starting already.
Being the yes on either of those individually, but being the yes on both of them does seem inevitable that you're going to win at least one. Like there's got to either be a throw or a kick. Like.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about this for about 2 weeks.
There's an injury after 30 seconds where it is down on the ground for a few minutes. Some sort of head injury.
The fact that we never considered that the ball going out of play is a way of looking at those is actually pretty surprising. The next one we have up then is 2 corners in the first 10 minutes. Now, as everyone knows, Gary's got a bit of a fetish for corners.
And sorry, LB, I'm just going to cut across it because we have a comment in from Darren Healy, who wants the forfeit to be the loser shaves the head. So I don't know whether that's a dig at my lockdown hairstyle or
considering the amount of time and energy Lee puts into that mop on the top of his head, I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I just complimented guys last week.
50 quid or your hair?
Well, close to it. But guys, I just complimented you last week on those flowing Australian locks that you had going on, and then you cut them straight away.
No, this isn't cut. It's just slicked back. A bit of slickness.
He's still in lockdown. You can't call him out on
the LB on it.
When I saw Shave appear in the comments, I thought it was going to be aimed at something else, but I'm quite happy that it's at you two and your awful hairdo.
I'm hoping it's the same forfeit when I go up against you, LB. I'm quite safe in that.
I've actually resigned myself that I'm going the same route as you, Slats, in that department. So maybe it'd actually be a good excuse
Darren,
for me.
I was all for it now, but Lee has overruled you, and we're going for the 50 quid instead. But any more suggestions from Darren or anybody else out there?
Keep it coming, Darren.
Yeah, very good. So what's Gary and his soft touch for the corner, so that's going to be 2 in the first 10 minutes. I don't know, for me that seems a bit of an ask, but maybe you get a lucky one, Gary. I
would have thought so as well. Did you say that was, again, it was a proper 50-50 either side of that?
I think it was like evens for yes and like 8 to 11 for no.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah. There was some.
I looked at the corners and Leeds average nearly 6 corners a game. And Wolves concede a few corners as well. So I had a quick look at that market and just seemed one to take a chance on. So I'm pretty hopeful of it.
Okay.
Fast start.
Yeah, well, and the next one is actually pretty similar. It's the race to corners. So I think this is priced up more or less. The even money would be Wolves to get 5.5 corners, Leeds to get 3.5. So we've kind of toned those both down a bit. Obviously, we don't want to wait till the end of the game for all these markets. So Wolves to get 3 before Leeds get 2, or vice versa. I suppose I'd probably be with Gary on that one. I think 2 looks a little bit more achievable than 3. Obviously, it's lower number.
Yeah, the averages are in my favour as well.
Well, I mean, I went all in. Well, I mean, we're going to go through it now, but obviously we're both all in on Leeds and Wolves, right? I mean, if you're looking at the
you mean the way the markets? I was like, yeah, well, that is the game.
Yeah, so raise the corners, raise the shots, and shots on target, right? I need Wolves to be successful.
They're actually probably related though. Like a lot of shots will lead to a lot of corners sometimes. So
that's why I picked them. I mean, that's why I picked them, so to be linked, right?
Yeah, so you weren't going to hedge your bets and try and take one off either side, and hopefully you don't lose both.
No.
We got the halftime result as well. So the draw was exactly evens to be, or the result was exactly evens to be a draw at halftime. So I think that's an interesting one. Any goal is actually good for Lee. Gary's going to be open for an uneventful match where the ball doesn't cross the sideline except for a corner kick. And nothing else happens.
2 corner kicks and then nothing else.
Whatever way this has worked out, I feel like Lee is a massive favourite here going into it.
I'm looking at if you were to price these up, like Gary needs 2 Leeds corners but can't be any Wolves corners, can't be any throws, any goal kicks, any goals. So,
but hold on, like you know,
no,
continue.
No, you were going to explain yourself. We'll explain it at the end when we've just ran through
Yeah,
these.
but are we going to explain how we picked these or how this came to be?
No, we'll leave that off.
I don't think any of us come out of that covered in glory, so maybe we'll let that evolve over time. The next one, so player to get 2 shots on target. So we knew that Gary had picked Rafinha earlier in the day, so I tried to pick a similar price player. So I think Neto was slightly lower odds to get 2 shots. Lee picked Neto, and actually Gary picked Rafinha, so that was the way that worked out.
Yeah, Neto is Wolves' top scorer this season with 5 goals.
Yeah, I was surprised that you went for that. You're just being your dark horse self, which tends to come good, except when you're back in Brent.
Gary's not worried about making money when he gambles. It's all about being able to claim the big prize winner.
Yeah, no, but I couldn't in good faith come on here after suggesting as part of our ACA or part of our BETALONG treble to back Rafinha 2 shots. I'm giving a 50-50 decision, choose the other one. So kind of was forced into it, but there's logic behind it, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah. And then the last
I have
3.
Neto in my 5 scores actually for the weekend. We might talk about it in more detail later, but I'll be hoping Neto finds the back of the net at some stage.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, I'm on your side with this one, Lee.
There's a few people in the 5 scorers have Neto, so I'm kind of hoping we get a few people out. Anyone who's not,
I think Slats just have to get that net and Neto kind of pun in there.
The fella writes his own headlines. In fairness, doesn't he?
Oh god! And the last 3 markets then that the lads have are just your usual kind of even money lines in a football match. So 10.5 corners, 2.5 goals, and both teams to score. What did surprise me is the lads have gone opposite ways on the over 2.5 and both teams to score. Seems like a little.
Yeah, well, that was the hedging of the bets, right? So
yeah,
I mean, you're going to get one or the other there, unless it's going to be a washout. But I don't think it's going to be. So
yeah, get a 1-1 draw for Gary is the only way that comes good for him on both. But
yeah.
And again, for anybody watching in, let us know in the comments there who do you think is the favourite, who are you siding with in this, so we must get a poll in for next week, LB, if we can. So we can see who's siding with who. But for now, let us know in the comments, and then when you're commenting, hit the like, subscribe buttons as well.
Very optimistic, Gary, about my technological ability. Just whip up a poll and get it into the YouTube comments there.
You'd be grand, man. I have full faith. Full faith.
I mean, Gary, how are you feeling seeing it all on the screen? Are you feeling? I mean, it's the first time I've seen it piece together.
Seeing it all lined up like this, the only one I'm confident 3 in mine. I think Rafinha will get 2 shots on target, so I'm confident with that.
The biggest price thing on the whole page is Rafinha to get 2 shots.
I'm confident of both teams to score, and I'm confident in the race to 5 shots. I think the 3 of them are bankers for me. But Slats made a good point. You're definitely going to get off to an early lead. It's going to be like the US election. You'll surge into the lead and then
surge out.
I was more thinking like the Ryder Cup, like America taking a lead early and then Europe just
slightly less controversial as well.
I probably should have used that analogy. Yeah,
I'm going to get in on the action on this Leeds game as well. I'm going to put my full 20.
I need to jump on as well.
I'm putting my full 20 on a first half goal at 1.44.
I've got my full lot on this Italian match, and it's actually pretty end to end. But now I feel like I want to just cash out, take the loss. Yeah, the 20 quid roller. So Slats explained that to us at the start of the show. I think a few more viewers are online now than we had back then. So maybe Slats, you want to give a quick recap for anyone who's going to jump in?
Pretty straightforward. We all want to make money, but we also want a bit of competition between the 4 of us. So we all start with 20 quid, bet it on in-play markets through the night. We can go full bank on a bet, or we can kind of spread it across a few bets. Hopefully we'll all make a bit of cash at come the end of the show, but it's who's going to come out on top is what we're after.
I mean, so like last week was the first week we did it, and it got pretty loose pretty quickly, right? So everyone was going mad, and I mean, I think You won, Slats. You finished up 50 odd for the night, did you?
No, do you remember we did a count after the show, and I think you beat me by about 20 cents or something. It was about
close.
40 quid I won, so it was pretty close between the two of us.
Yeah. But I mean, it was. I mean, we've been on here for several weeks, and that was the first time we did the in-play. And I think we all just lost the run of ourselves. Like every 2 minutes, someone was calling out a bet with about 3 or 4
I think it was the early profits as well. Like I did over 1.5 goals in a game last week, and it was in after something like 10 minutes. So you just get that wave of excitement and the invincible feeling, like, you know. So
and once your bank grows, you have a bit more to play around with as well.
Exactly, you're like, oh, I'm playing with the bookies' money now. And half an hour later, you're just looking through your wallet going, have I got any more money to put in?
Dumping more money into chase it. But there was a lot of FOMO as well, because like when someone's calling out the bet, like, and you're looking at it then on the odds that you're seeing, you're just like, okay, right, everyone's just jumping on together. Like, it's fantastic.
Yes.
This game
serious FOMO when you were all crawling up that leaderboard, and I was flirting with 0 for most of the night. I was like, oh my, you're just looking at that deposit button again thinking, oh,
this Leeds game has kicked off, and it looks like there's been a throw in the first minute.
There has, like literally from the kickoff. I'd say about 7 seconds.
I sent a few texts this afternoon.
Probably did. So that's me 1 down already.
Right. Flyer.
How do you do it?
Scoreboard, the scoreboard's updating now, so any of our viewers will see that not too long. They'll see it. That's a great start for you. Lee was in. So what time was on the clock, Gary?
Well, when I looked down, it was like 13 seconds, and he was taking the throw. So I'd say it was within 10 seconds that.
Is it on TV or what? What channel is it on there?
Sky Sports. Or no, sorry, BT Sport. BT Sport. So, but thankfully there hasn't been a goal kick yet. So Leeds are just playing it around at the halfway line now. So
come on,
you got 4 minutes.
For another 4 minutes, I'll be happy.
Yeah,
fantastic.
It didn't take long at all. I wish you could just do these bets every minute. You know what I mean? Like proper degenerate stuff. What'll be in the first minute? What'll be in the second minute?
You actually can do that on bookies' websites. Now, I wouldn't there's a grand bet amongst friends. I don't think I'd be recommending lads to do it with the actual bookie every minute. But,
it's like coin tossing. There's no way you could know. Like,
there's no.
It always reminds me of that Uncut Gems, and he's betting on who wins the toss-up. It's just depraved. I said a nice big red no beside Gary. Kind of expecting.
I know. I'm a bit nervous now because Leeds have a free kick just outside the box.
Yeah.
So draw could end up in a goal kick, which would put me 2-0 down after 2 minutes. Yeah.
50.
Goal kick.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love a stronger shade of green if you don't mind. I mean, I'm not sure if that's up for
is there like a bold green that we can do?
Yeah, I'd love that.
I think we should get a strike through for Gary's one as well. Like make really emphasize the fact.
And we need to nail this.
Just get a big X over my head on the screen.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind, but it was Rafinha taking the free kick as well, and it's one of the worst free kicks I've ever seen. He just kicked straight out of play. It was like he knew I was on him.
I need to. Right, so what's that? 2-0?
Yeah, and I
think
it's going to be.
If I don't get a few corners soon, I'm in trouble.
You really need them to be Leeds corners as well, because if Wolves start getting corners,
exactly,
he's going to win the race to corners.
This wasn't thought through at all, but we'll know for next week. I feel I've just been hustled out of 50 quid, like.
Yeah, we were all actually lining up the questions with Leo all day. What's the best combination?
You're just going to take whatever 16.60 each, or whatever the third of 50 is.
I'm loving it. I mean, but we knew, right, when we looked at it, they were going to be the low hanging fruit, as they say. So we'll see when it gets into the nitty gritty. Yeah. Although I'm not sure. I'm not sure what your path back to victory is, to be quite honest.
I'm going to get it towards the end, man.
We've a Leeds corner here.
Leeds corners, Leeds goals. That'll get me back into it.
It's a Leeds corner now.
My old mate Rafinha.
Did you hear that, guys? It's a corner to Leeds there. So it's a big 1+ for Gary.
Corner to Leeds.
I haven't quite got to the corner yet, but
you got over 10.5 in the game as well. So actually, yeah, the more Leeds corners, the better, really, for you.
Hopefully, it was a Rafinha shot that got parried out for a corner as well.
Remember, we talked about it. We said it a few times on the stream. It's probably the happiest I've ever been when I put on a bet. And it was Zlatan to score a goal and have 2 shots on target in the match. And about 4 minutes in, he took a penalty. It was saved back to him, and he just buried it. And it was like tick, 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 straight away.
That's the dream, like the absolute dream.
Yeah. When it works, it works. I mean, I'll actually never forget that when they were playing in Tallaght Stadium against Shamrock Rovers, and there was that photograph of Zlatan standing there beside one of the fucking Rovers players, and he was just like an absolute Adonis, I mean, a beast. You know what I mean? Like, and he is actually a beast. He is a beast of a fucking athlete as well.
Is he 39? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, I think he is that old. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm still fairly angry at him for last week for playing so crap in that game against Spezia, but
yeah.
It's probably the biggest combined bet we've had in a while on the Sports Rundown was Milan and goals. What a disaster that was.
The best defensive performance you'd see. I mean, Milan were shit, right? Milan were shit, but we all watched it and we were live tweeting and we were doing all our good stuff. But like, I mean, especially as fucking organisation was fucking fantastic. They fully deserved it. Yeah, it was.
It surprised me that Spezia have been so bad this season. I mean, if you just watched that game last week, you'd actually think that they were, solidly mid-table. They got absolutely spanked earlier on tonight. They lost it. But I stopped watching at one point, but they were 3-0 down to Fiorentina.
Finished 3-0.
Did it?
That number 80 won't be hanging around too long at Spezia, I wouldn't say.
Like, I've just checked there. They conceded 52 goals already this season. They've only played 20 games. And it's amazing that if you saw that 90 minutes last week, you'd never think that was the same team.
No. But that's what we said when we threw it out there, right? Like, they just got promoted. Like, their pedigree is not Serie A or anywhere close to it. Milan coming to town, like, they're all up for it. Yeah. And they're all fucking playing the game of their life. They're all finishing the opportunities they get. You know, everyone's focused, and they just wanted it more, and that was it. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. I mean, Zlatan from the get-go, his attitude was fucking what Zlatan can be. Is like, you know, he's an animal when he wants to be, but if he's not feeling it or things aren't going his way, you know, he doesn't have the mental strength to drag himself or the team through a game. And he was humming and hawing very early after.
Yeah, he was. He was very kind of like, you know, hands in the air and just kind of giving out from the start. But I was just Joe. All the games have kicked off now. I want to do a quick roundup of our 20 quid challenge bets. So my Frosinone Pescara, just a first half goal. So I got 1-2 on that. So my full bank of 20 quid on a 1-2 to win 30, obviously. Slats, have you got on anything yet, or what are you looking at?
Similar bet on the Wolves Leeds game, just the first half goal, the full 20 on. Slightly worse odds. It's like 1.44. So I got about 9 quid back off my 20. Plenty of time left, but nothing yet.
LB, are you invested?
Yeah, I've got the whole bank, the whole 20 on a first half goal in the Torino game. Cagliari Torino, it's 2-5, I think it was. So yeah, whatever that's going to pay. Can't do the maths in my head at the minute. So yeah, that's my full bank on that.
And what about you actually? Are you saving money to pay me out at the end?
Not yet. I'm concerned about my liability at the end of the night, so I'm looking for some very juicy bets, and I also need to shut up about ranting about Ibrahimovic to take some time to look at where the juicy odds are.
I didn't want to say.
No, you're right to say.
I think he's just going to wait until which one of ours looks like the biggest loser, and he's going to lay that.
I mean, I probably had one of the better nights of my life last week, in fairness. I mean, I won about, like Slat said, I only won about 50 quid, but I just felt like tipping away at a few bets, everything went away. So I'm glad you called out your bets, because like I said earlier, the Contra's in the house tonight, so that's what I was really waiting on.
Yeah. But I think a couple of more minutes now, and what's on the clock in the Leeds game? It's about 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah, I'm watching it here. So there's 8:40 gone on my clock. So I need a
corner in the next 90 seconds, or else it's 3 greens in a row for Lee.
That puts him 150 quid up, does it?
I could just see this forfeit getting bigger and bigger week after week.
It would be some stress if we were doing 50 quid and it just was going 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. The desperation of trying to, cut it back.
Technical errors and your face just blurs and then you're off the screen.
See, like the questions weren't asked in this order, I don't think. At least I don't remember them being so.
Yes, they were.
Were they?
I was the one asking them. They were.
But you didn't have to pick them.
Don't try and cop out of this. What?
You didn't have to pick them in the order, the run order.
I think that was why I didn't clock onto it. So,
yeah. If only we'd written something in there like first minute, 5 minute, 10 minute to give you a feel.
Oh, yes!
Oh.
1 all in corners. 20 seconds left. 1 all in corners.
Lee.
That was close.
I don't believe it.
I'm delighted.
I don't believe it. Came in, did it?
It's great for the time.
He didn't even need to give the corner away. I'm so happy with it.
What? There was 10 seconds left.
Stuart Dallas is in my good books.
I can't believe it. It should be 3-0 instead of fucking 2-1.
Who gave the corner away, Gary?
Stuart Dallas. I think it was 9 minutes and 41 seconds gone and kicked it out. So that I must be into 5 to win the whole thing now, am I?
I don't know about that. The market is suspended. We're going to have to reassess in a couple of moments. I think the next corner could be huge. Like if Lee gets close to that 3 Wolves corners, it's hard to see a way back for you, Gary.
I just want that green on the board quick. Get it up there. Chalk it up.
There's a technical issue. Things aren't updating for some reason. I don't know what's going on.
Remember I'm colorblind, right? I could just see fucking 2 squares the same either side. Like I mean, the more we get into this, I'm gonna forget who won what.
I'll have to do something. We'll put the winner in italics, Lee, so that you and the color.
That'll do it.
The race to 5 shots I see is up there as well at one of the markets.
Yeah,
that's on and off target, right?
When we actually, in fairness to the guys, we did ask them on target, but then when I looked at it, that's a very high bar, so I kind of just didn't announce it. I didn't think anyone would call it out, Slats, especially not publicly and put me on the spot like this. But I did secretly remove the on target from the questionnaire and just gave the guys 5 shots. He says
nothing all day on the WhatsApp and then just pops it to you live on the fucking stream.
Yeah, I didn't see the audio messages. He was just waiting to skewer me live on air. So we've gone.
I have a notepad full of preparation to hang you on air.
yeah. There's we just done normal shots because, like I said, you could be looking at, potentially 10 shots on target there before that market is 1 or 9. So
but what's a shot off target? I mean, why is that? Like, we've got into this loads of times already, but
we'll be taking the bookie definition. It's not going to be what you decide is a shot, Lee, and a cross. A bad cross.
Yeah, so we have to go with William Hill. William Hill stats. That's go. Just on the race to corners. So Leeds have 1 corner and Wolves have 2. So we're both 1 corner away from
next corner wins.
One.
That's
next corner wins.
And I'm seeing
Wolves
shots.
are down on the attack here, so
you'll have to confirm on the William Hill side. But I'm seeing shots that Wolves have 3 with 2 on target, and Leeds just have 1 off target.
What about Neto?
I'd say that's
Neto with a shot on target. Yeah.
Yeah, the keeper pulled one out of the top corner there a minute ago. So
really?
That was the one I saw.
So Lee's a corner away from the race to corners, a shot away for the 2 shots on target, 2 shots for the race to 5 shots, and he's got the under in the overall market. Jeez, Gary, this could be an early shower for Team Gaz.
Listen, I'm not going to count my chicken.
Not quite.
Gary, you're the favourite. That's what they say when they're interviewing, isn't it?
His position is safe.
His position is safe.
At other candidates.
No, we won't give up just yet.
Speaking of giving up, I'm starting to lose faith rapidly in this Torino shit fest. It's gone.
I haven't even backed anything yet. I haven't backed anything yet at all.
Well, I said it at the start. I was tempted to go for 2 first half goals, but it was just too risky, and I'd be completely out of the running now if I'd done that.
I actually felt more connected last week when I was jumping around all the games, and you had a kind of feel for them. Like now, I'm just looking like there's a few early leads there, and like the odds are shortened usually. So what do you want, LB? You back the goal in the Torino game?
Yeah.
So I need to back under half a goal in the first half there.
Yeah.
Are you
No,
watching
nice
that game,
voice.
LB?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep an eye on it here.
Yeah, it does. It looks like there's been plenty of chances.
They were very early though.
Okay.
I mean, since then,
like under half a goal now is 7-2, but that's probably the full game.
no, that's the full game. Yeah, under
Okay,
is
yeah.
4-9. Looking at it here.
4-9. Right, I'm gonna throw the 20 on 4-9.
Who just had that corner? Is there a corner there?
Rafinha just had a shot on target, I think.
Yeah, that's what Bet365 said anyway for the.
Just one shot on target each, so that's looking pretty even.
It's
Who took the corner? Or am I
well.
slightly behind schedule?
I think you're slightly ahead of schedule if you're seeing a corner, maybe.
Oh.
Well, I had a knee anyway because I'm watching on Sky Go here. But,
I don't think there was another corner. It's still 2-1 in corners from what I see.
Like Wolves should be winning here, right? I mean, I'm like, am I just wrong to think Wolves should win this 2-1,
Yes.
1-0?
You are wrong.
We left the win market out of it. I thought, maybe it's one worth adding in on the next rounds. It's a nice one to get an opinionated opinion out of.
Yeah, I like the markets we have chosen. So they're all right.
I just think 2-0, and if you've got the win market, it's just as good as over, and you're stuck waiting then to the 90 minutes for someone to put the final nail in the coffin. Usually it's my coffin in that sense. So
see that, Gary? That's my celebration whiskey. I'm getting it out already.
Jeez, that's early, man. That's early.
There we go.
Another.
We'll see.
I'll buy a cheap bottle out of your 50 quid.
I mean, like, joking aside, like, it's my celebration whiskey because I'm not asked to go up to the fridge to get a beer, and the bottle of whiskey was beside me, so I decided to have a whiskey. But
I'm actually going to go.
I don't know if the word is celebration in that context, Lee.
But it's always a celebration. But like, LB, how long did it take you to pull together those today? Because, like, for anyone watching, this is our kind of. We said we dive in because we're always, disagreeing with each other on some things, and LB decided that he'd offer us up the opportunity to go mano over a few bets at even.
To put it together wasn't that long. I think we've been talking about it for a week or two around the markets. You don't want to have. So if we just had the end of match markets here, it'd be very, doesn't have the same bit of drama that we have. So once we settled on those early game markets, it kind of slotted together pretty nicely. I wasn't sure how they'd work out, and I know we won't say which member of the Slattery family was hesitant about the markets, but I think they've actually worked out quite well. Those, let's call them novel. I'll be
just conscious that we have a few new viewers on the stream. So
yeah.
I don't know whether you want to give a quick 30-second synopsis of what we're doing, just so.
Yeah, so you'll see on the screen we've got the 10 different markets here from the Leeds Wolves game that's on right now. So our bet along is Gary or Gaz there on the top right hand corner, and Lee over on the left have taken the opposite positions on these 10 different markets, mostly priced around evens. I think the Pedro Neto and Rafinha ones are more or less the same price, but they're not evens. They're a bit longer odds. It's a competition, 50 quid a man, to see who'll do the best out of the 10 markets. So you can see Lee's got the two early ones in his favour. He's always a good man for getting things started nice and early. And
finishing early, maybe.
Didn't want to go down there. So for anyone who's watching, the guys are going to play through the rest of these. So you can, pretty self-explanatory markets there, corners, goals, shots. And we'll see at the end of the night, whoever's the most out of 10 will get 50 quid from the other one, and then we'll move on next week. It'll be another round of the same competition. So if you have any thoughts, this is actually our first time playing this version of the game. So any thoughts, leave them in the comments. We'll at least incorporate them or tell you why we're not incorporating them more likely. So welcome to the show if it's your first time.
Yeah, and if it is your first time, or if you've watched this before and you haven't subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button as well, so you'll be alerted in the next time we go live. So we're usually every Friday, 7:30 GMT, but we do have the odd kind of midweek one, or on big weekends like the Super Bowl weekend. We actually did a couple of live shows. So hit the alert button and you'll get that notification when we go live.
Speaking of big events, we forgot to mention it, that there'll be a Cheltenham preview Sunday the 14th of March. So the panel is TBD. We might have some interesting names on that, but make sure to subscribe and follow our socials, because something to look forward to. Maybe, I'm not sure, we'll wait till halftime, Gary, before we dive into your sort of your picks for that, or your anti-post picks. But for anyone who does have an interest in Cheltenham, get that date in the diary, the 14th of March.
And Slats, or guys, can we get into your communication effort, or is that going to be?
No, we'll do that offline, I think.
Will we? Okay, fair enough.
Just looking at that Leeds game again, I think Neto got a second shot on target there. Is that right, Gary?
I didn't think it was Neto, but it might have. They definitely got a shot on target.
Let me check it here. I'll check it here and confirm officially.
Come on, LB, give me the green.
Yeah, Gary's hesitation. He might have. I don't think.
Races. No, I thought it was John Matinho, but it's how.
They're both Portuguese.
Yeah, they all look the same. Is that what you're saying, Gary?
They both have a similar build, like so.
That's that old chestnut.
And I'm seeing
two shots. Pedro Neto, two shots on target. Boom.
I'm seeing the Wolves had 6 shots in total. Now 3 on target, 3 off target. But I think that might give Lee another point, unless we're.
Oh, let's see it. No, Neto's had 2 shots on target. Traore's had 2 shots off target, and Semedo's had 1 shot. So that's 5. Leeds have had 2 shots. So yeah, that's 2 big greens for Mark Lee. You're off to
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Like lads, I'm telling you, when I get the gut feeling, I live my life by gut feeling. That's it. When I get the gut feeling,
I can only draw here, can I?
Yeah.
I think I can only draw.
Oh, he's on 4. Yeah, but
it's a 4-1, okay.
Yeah, you're in trouble though, Gary.
I know.
Would be an amazing recovery if you won it from here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miracle and Medina time. Going back to your Ryder Cup analogy.
It happens. Just not tonight. Come here, I might pour myself a second celebratory whiskey, or am I just stick with the one?
So yeah, that's actually a pretty good spot, lads. Thanks for bringing that up to our attention. Gary is in hot water.
Rafinha has the ball in the corner here now, so you better get a corner out of it.
No, he's going to run out for a throw-in.
Yeah, that's how you got a throw out of it, but.
Yeah. 20 minutes.
How are you looking on the rest of these bets now?
I need a Leeds corner.
The halftime result is starting to look good for you. You just want some Leeds corners and no goal to come from.
Actually, if Leeds get a corner, nobody scores, then that's 2 greens to Gary. There's a controversial one, but we had the actual Rafinha Pedro Neto bet wasn't forced to get. It wasn't a race to 2 shots. It was just to get 2 shots or not. So I don't know. Do we want to?
I think
we'll give it as a race. Yeah, you lost that.
Yeah, you have to do a race. Now, unless you want to do like most shots, but you can change that for next week.
We said, anyone in the comments want to give us some feedback on the markets or the way we do it, we're certainly happy to.
Sorry, LB, like is Gary texting you here off the side to raise that fucking ambiguity with this? Because I thought God knew what was going on there.
I think LB just realised that I've been absolutely shafted here, and he wants
don't want Gary
get some fairness in for next week.
Fairness. I just don't want him to look too bad on his first Spain League. That was all it was done.
No. Well, I mean, I was thinking earlier, we're not getting into how we pick these bets, right? So we'll cast some suspicion there.
We just keep beating around that bush, though, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just picked first, and I thought that at the time, Gary. I'm not sure if you had a problem with that at the time, but you did get you did get picked 2 and 3. So I hope that's not contentious.
Listen, it was fair enough. It's a learning experience. I'm still in the game, so I can still win.
Yeah.
Every time I look to my left-hand side and I see the screen, it gives me a shiver down my spine.
Seemed like Lee had more of a tactical approach to picks, and you just kind of went more at a 1-by-1 basis.
Yeah, I kind of let my heart around my head a little bit on some of them. So.
And I mean, like Slats, in fairness, if you had saw how I picked those, I mean, I'm not sure tactical would be a word that's used. It would be more like there'd be gifts getting posted of people's news and waiting for my response, right? And I'm panicking to pick the first thing that pops into my head.
I'm looking here at this Torino game is starting to just look awful. Full stop. Actually, that's the best way to describe it. So my 20 challenge could be over nice and early again.
Well, I mean, the 3 of us are starting to look that way now. I know yours is a good bit further ahead. We've 3-0 odds and we're 3 of us are on a goal. So I mean, Lee, you're going to be automatic winner of the of the 20 challenge
The
as
20
well.
man challenge
Just
as well,
sits
yeah.
out.
Well, I did do the contra. I did do the LB contra, like under half a goal in the first half for Torino.
Did you back that?
Yeah.
You absolute snake. God, I really hope
You're
that comes in
some
now.
dog, absolute
Yeah.
dog.
I'm sorry. I mean, I told you. I mean, I was pretty fucking transparent about what I was going to do. So,
Transparent is. God,
I mean,
well,
I'm actually disappointed my extra fiver on it because for some reason I deposited 25 and just put 20. But listen, you can't win them all.
Our sports rundown treble does look fairly good though, because I'm watching the Pescara and Frosinone game here, and Pescara looked terrible. Like Frosinone absolutely dominating. Pescara haven't had a shot yet. They haven't had a corner yet. They're hardly getting out of their half. So, that looks good. Rafina has had one shot on target. Really just needs the goals in the Torino
Cagliari
game.
yeah.
If we can get one goal there soon, it opens that bet up. It'd be
Definitely,
good.
Yeah.
I see Leeds have had a second corner here. Is that right?
I was going to say, yeah.
They have, yeah. Come on.
That's a green for Gary.
Game.
Lovely.
Back in the game here.
Lovely for Gary, at least. It's not so.
How many corners in total has there been so far?
4.
I think 4, yeah.
Yeah, 2 each. So you were one shy. Go ahead, Lee.
The first half, you need what? 5.5, 6.
Pro rata, I'm doing well here, I think so.
Yeah, no, you are doing well. It's not over by any means. Like, in fairness, Gary, I'm just celebrating the early lead, but we know you're coming back. We kind
of predicted it was going to go that way anyway, that Lee would take the lead.
Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at the end of it if I'm toasting Gary with a whiskey for paying him €50, right?
Counting your blessings that's all you owe me because you wanted to go skins in each category.
But that, I mean, skins, I don't know where that came in, but I'm glad someone said €50 a point because
there's another corner, 5 corners now. So
who got it, Lee? Gary?
Leeds. So it's 3-2 to Leeds now. So yeah, well, I don't really want Leeds to score yet though, do we?
No. But come here, LB, what I was asking you earlier, were they all even shots, the 10 bets that were there?
Pretty much evens. I didn't want to tell you as you picked in case if someone kept picking the odds on ones, but a few of them might have been, 11 to 10 versus 10 to 11 or something like that. Or a couple of them, a few of them were actually strange. They were quite a big gap, like 8 to 11 versus evens and things like that, but more or less evens, or else one of them was evens. I suppose some of the lines are a bit kind of like, football, there's only one. The events are pretty kind of big steps, so it's hard to price them all exactly at evens. But
I was thinking, Gary, you might nearly be worth taking the hit on some teams scoring here in the first half because you need over 2.5 goals and both teams to score.
I'm under.
Okay, so you're looking for the 1-1 draw, is it?
Yeah, it's just both teams to score.
I'm looking for 1-0.
I can see the big 1-1 draw actually now for Gary coming good. He's starting to get.
Can you, LB? Can you? Is he texting you again, trying to get your positive fucking mental attitude down?
The momentum is swinging, I think, Lee.
It does seem to be starting to swing.
I can feel it. I can actually feel on the. I'm not even watching the game behind me, and I can feel the momentum on the group swinging.
You just hear the commentators just rumbling away. You think, oh no.
Yeah, 3 versus 1, fantastic.
And another corner for Wolves too. Like, Jesus, 6 corners, half an hour in. That's looking.
Yeah, well, I mean, for anyone watching this, this is how it goes. You have the contra, which is me trying to be, sound.
Is that the word?
Yeah, it is.
Laying your mate's bets. I don't know.
I mean, why can't one of us win? Win?
Again, I don't know if that's the definition of sound either.
It's also forcing one person to lose.
Listen,
I don't think that's what people watching in want to see either. Is us just
we want to beat the bookie.
50-50 bet.
As an aggregate, we want to beat the bookie. That's all our goal is, right? And if it's just
you keep this up, we're just going to end up down by the bookie's book percentage. We'll just be down 8% at the end of the year. I like it. This table is looking an awful lot better now. So it's 4 greens for X Lee and 2 for Gary. So what's on the clock about
Gary? No.
Which one?
That?
No, the corner.
You're just counting the
corners.
You're just counting the corners already.
Yeah, he's looking good. I'd say, let's check that one there. Is this Torino load of crap?
I'm on 28-45 in the Wolves game.
Well, let's go check the halftime result here, and the draw is 4-9. So it's actually, I thought it'd be actually lower than that, to be quite honest.
There's been a ton of
So
shots either end, though. It still wouldn't be surprising if it
Yeah.
I bloody need one as well for my 20 quid shot.
It's Torino finished there.
Leeds
Like
did
that.
hit the post there a few minutes ago as well.
Nearly, not fully finished, but 43 and a bit minutes gone. So
Okay.
it's
And
good
so while
as.
there's a little bit of a lull there, we give a shout out here. Like we can see people are watching in. Don't be afraid to comment, ask questions, say who you agree with here on the head-to-head. What you think of any of our in-play bets. Any questions you might have, as I said, get them in the comment box there. We'll give you a shout out. We'll try and answer the questions. Any bets that you're on, let us know as well. So we can.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, and as we said, that bell to alert you that when we're live again. So, I said, get interacting there, guys.
Yeah, join in. Gary, you're going to be the one responding to the any messages on the chat, are you?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm waiting here. I said we had Darren's suggestion earlier on to shave the head, and I think Darren has logged off disappointed that you overruled him. But so we're happy to take the ideas on board.
We'll be 4 weeks into this challenge with 4 shaven heads, and we'll be wondering what the next will be.
I have a feeling Darren's better off overruled in all his life decisions, right? I don't know the man, but I think he's better off outsourcing that decision-making process.
Yeah, well, speaking of bad decision-making processes, the SerieA game is finished 0-0 at half-time, so another week, another immediate exit for myself in the 20 euro challenge. Oh, God, it's absolutely shameful. So I don't know.
So Lee, you're in the money there, are you?
I'm in the money on the contract. On the contract, I'm in the money.
What are you up to now? About 28 or something?
28, exactly, yeah. So I've 33 in total. So, like, lads, Gary, give me your bets for the second half. I'm gonna contract.
Well, I'm all in on the Frosinone Pescara game for first half goals. There's 15 minutes left, and it's 0-0. Frosinone, as I said, are absolutely dominating. Pescara can't get out of their half, but all of Frosinone's shots are going off target at the minute. But I'm hoping they can break them down soon. So otherwise it could be too early exits in that. But Slash, how are you looking?
I mean, I'm all in on a goal in the Leeds game, and what's pissing me off now is at the start of the show I mentioned that I was going to have a look at the 2 Dutch games for a first half goal. Both of those are half an hour in, and both of them are 1-0. And I just got overexcited with all the talk about the Wolves Leeds game that I just pumped my full bank in onto the goal there.
So under half a goal in Frosinone, guys, is 1-3.
It's late to be getting on that, Lee, isn't it? A lot of the value would have already sailed.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Leeds here.
It's just me on 0 and you on 28, but it'll be mine.
Well,
yeah,
you could be hedging your bets here, Lee, and back no goal in the Leeds game, and that'd make it a draw at half time.
That is controversial.
I mean, like under is 4-11 in the Leeds game, so no goals in the Leeds game is 4-11, and I'm thinking about doing a little cheeky double for 10 minutes.
Not bad. What's the double? I nearly just redeposit now and reload myself and try and earn back my 20, even if it.
Well, it's basically 3-1, or it's 1-3 in both games, so it's fuck all. But I mean, it's still a little 10-minute win, hopefully.
You're like, I don't understand people who can do under bets as happily as you do, Lee. It just
Wow. You're like the Grinch of Christmas, like sitting there.
Well, I mean. People are like you guys know me,
no
right?
Goals,
you know,
no corners, no throw-ins.
I mean, you know me, right? I played centre half in football. Obviously, a miserable cunt, right? If I had a chance to score a header from a corner, I'd put it over the bar just so I didn't have to celebrate. Obviously,
hopefully all those viewers aren't easily offended.
Sorry, apologies, viewers, but if you are offended, this isn't the channel for you. So,
laying down the line early.
Well, yeah, we'll see how this goes.
I'm hoping actually myself now there'll be no goal in the Serie B game, Gary, until half time, and then I'm going to load up on both of them in the second half. 1.5.
I always said you were sound, LB. Thanks.
Yeah, Frozenone's odds are tightening. Can you believe that? 33 minutes in, haven't scored. They're actually tighter than they were.
And I was just going to say that'd be the bet I'd be getting on now if I get a goal in the Leeds match, just backing Frosinone for the win there because they're dominating that half. Like,
yeah, but you don't mean the halftime lead. You mean to win that game, right?
Yeah, once it gets into the second half, either to win the game or just for a goal or something. Yeah,
but I think they're a banker.
So we have a comment in from our friend Darren as well. He's followed you in. Is that maybe you can let us know in the comments again? You followed him in on the under halftime double. You two absolute demons.
Well, I just did it there, so I put 33 on for 55 back. So
just magic's 5 into your account there for the old competition as well, Lee. Good man.
Yeah, that'll do. I mean, he's right. Like Mr. Healy. I don't know him. I mean, he's our first commentator, but so I mean, apart from he obviously knows what he's about. He backs the
kindred spirit in you.
Yeah.
So is that the Serie B and the Leeds match? No goal in either. Is that the bet?
Yeah.
What odds did you get in that double?
No, until halftime.
What odds did you get in that double? About evens or something? Was it?
It was so. Stake 33, pays 55. I think it's about 1.7, 1.8.
Okay, yeah. Nice. Jesus, you
did another corner just there in the Wolves game as well, guys. So
that's 7 now.
Nicely. Yeah.
Who got that, Gary?
Wolves.
So Gary, you got to get that in the first half, man. I wonder what over fucking 15, 16 corners was for the game in total.
Oh, it's ridiculous. So it's nearly always priced evens 10 or 10 and a half. Yeah, depending on the team. Like if Man City are playing, it might be down to 10 corners. But if you go up to like 13 corners, that goes from evens to about like could be 3-1, 7-2. And if you come down from it, if you come down to like 7 or 8 corners, it'll be like 1-5. Seems strange, but
it is a big drop off. It is a big drop off for sure. Like I mean, especially how easy like and again, I know for a fact we've talked about this. Like you've had one corner, headed out 2 corners. Like it's easy to have double up on corners.
Frosinone have a good chance here from a free kick now, just outside the box. So fingers crossed they can stick in the top corner.
Please God, no.
I've an awful feeling he's going to win this double, and the 2 of us are going to be knocked out. Like
I know. It's good tactics, Lee, and it's worked for you 2 weeks in a row. So I think
we'll see how long it goes.
Stealth next week and tell you about I've done. And you'll be the opposite. Actually, I didn't.
It's got to be no one can trust anyone about who's doing what. We're gonna have to fucking live stream our phones onto the thing.
Yeah.
Remember that game show was called like I forget how it goes, but you had to one person you had to say if you're going to split the money or keep the money for yourself, and if you got the
that was Golden Balls.
Yeah,
Golden Balls. Yeah,
brilliant.
That's what I imagine.
That was good. Yeah.
I promise I'm going to share the money and then just steal. Yeah.
There was one really harsh version of that.
Yeah. The old fella and the young girl.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
the young blonde one. It was the coldest thing. Like this big heart to heart before it. Like I
wouldn't do that to you. I would never
come
do
so
that
far
to
together. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
And then what? Boom, gone.
Oh yeah. Your man couldn't believe it. He just had his head in his hands. He was so shocked by it. Like.
Are you familiar with that game, Lee, Golden Balls?
No.
So I forget how you win money in the game, but basically
I've never watched the full show. It's just the final battle is on.
Oh, you just watch the best clips of it. Yeah, basically it's like 2 people left, me and you, and say the prize is 50 grand, right?
Yeah.
And we both either agree to share the money or steal the money. And if we both share it, then we split the money equally. If we both steal it, none of us get the money. But if I share and you steal, you get the money and I don't, or vice versa.
And for anybody watching in, sometimes we go off on a bit of a tangent on this show. So
usually about an hour in.
We will get back to the football and the fact that Leeds have had 2 more corners eventually.
We get back to the football until Lee wins his half-time bet and the 3 of us are out.
Oh God!
There's 7 minutes left in both games, and anyway, LB, continue.
Oh yeah, so you have to, but the 2 people can talk, right? So they're talking to each other the whole time, and I'm saying, listen, I'd never steal. Come on, we're in this together. We'll share the money. But there's this one clip going of like this kind of older man and a kind of slightly younger woman, and like she's so endearing about it. I would never do it. We've been through so much, blah blah blah. And it goes on and on and on. So he puts in to share the money and she puts in to steal it. And his face when she gets, it's like 100,000 or something like that. She nicks it from him. It's absolutely, it's cutthroat.
Typical, right?
I don't know what that means, Lee. We won't go down that road a bit early in the
Yeah,
night.
I mean, come on. It sounds like a fantastic show. I mean, I'm actually going to share. I'm actually going to share on our Twitter. Sorry, just to finish this divergence, but one of my favorite ever clips from a game show where someone's bluffing someone else's comedian. When anyway, look.
I don't know what that clip is, but I want to watch it.
It's amazing. I don't even know. He's an English comedian, and he's like convinces the other guy. Like basically, they're standing there with a box each. And like the whole game show is like
yes, I do know the one. It's brilliant. Yeah.
It's Sean Lock
like,
does it, isn't it?
Yeah,
sure, yeah. And he's like, who has the thing in their box?
Yeah, the card
and it's
box.
like, it's the best thing I've ever seen. Honestly, yeah,
it's worth checking out. Yeah, you'd find that on YouTube. Yeah, cart in the box.
Sean Lock is it.
I've definitely seen that. Yeah.
Everything Sean Lock does was funny. In fairness to him.
I mean, but like this is like, and like everyone's like, if you're lying, you're the best liar ever, and he's just like laughing away, and he's lying, right? And the other guy is, I mean, we'll share. We're gonna fucking branch off our normal topics.
We'll have a little thread on social media of our favorite.
Yeah. Getting back to the task in hand. I'm looking at it here. So, like at the minute, the draw is looking good for minutes left to hold out. 10.5 corners should be wrapped up. I need 2 more in the second half for that to come up. So it's going to go down to the goals. So if both teams to score, if it's 1-1 draw, I'll win it. If it's 2-1, Lee wins it, basically.
Yeah. Give him the green now, LB. Let's tempt fate. Give him the draw.
Give him the draw. You're only trying to jinx him, Lee. I wouldn't do it to him.
I know I am. The gypsy curse. Give him the draw.
No. So yeah, realistically we're going to be looking at early in the second half for a piece, because
potentially.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Odds on.
But we're going to need 3 goals in the second half and both teams to score, which is going to be.
Yeah.
Based on tonight, it looks like a 0-0 draw for me, but I haven't watched the game. You're
probably gonna take one each there, realistically, right? I mean, 1-1 is the only way that Gary wins both, and 3-0.
Yeah, but I need both. I need both because
I thought we said it's going to be 4-4 in the second half. No.
Yeah, no, because you get the halftime draw, Gary.
You're on 3.
I actually think the corners could dry up here as well. Just what did that reversion to mean type of thing. I think
you said you needed 2 more corners.
Exactly.
I think we need 3 more corners.
The fucking 3 you are against me, and it's a lot of bollocks.
I'm pretty sure there's been 9 shots.
As there, fair enough. Yeah, I only see 8 here, but yeah, you could be right.
So yeah, we'll see.
Abacus is broken, but
yeah.
Or we can reconfirm any of these afterwards when we get the official stats out. But yeah, I think at the moment I see 5-4 in a.
I mean, after what I think you're tracking the corners, but like when we were talking last week, there was a fairly significant divergence of stats between different gambling websites, and we're settling on Betfair being the book of record.
No, William Hill. Sponsored. We're in association with William Hill.
Sorry, Billy Hill. Dick Hill.
Need to be the.
All right. So assuming it does go to 4-4 with the halftime draw on the corners, then 1-1 will win it for Gary, or a 3-0 win or more, 4-0, 5-0, a win to 0 for 3 or more goals will win it for Lee.
Yeah.
And neither of those results are that likely, really. So we could be looking at a draw.
I think if it's a draw, we just rolled a whole lot onto some in-play action that's on afterwards, whatever Brazilian match.
We have to. We're not leaving this with each of us taking a 50s back. No way. It's a grudge match now. 3-on-1.
Next team to get a throw in the Brazilian league. Well, the Frozen
I think it has to be nap of the weekend. It has to be nap of the weekend, I think.
Yeah.
The nap.
Whoever can pick the nap of the weekend.
Do you have anything picked out, Gary?
Oh, I do.
Sorry, yeah. Go on, tell us, because you never tell us your fucking naps of the weekend when they're winners. You're just throwing fucking win bets into the group. You don't ever offer the information up before the event.
I always offer it, but Millwall tomorrow, they're just below even money. They've won 3 on the bounce. They're playing Wickham who are bottom of the table. Wickham have only won 2 of their last 9 games. They've been hockeyed on a load of them. I think Millwall will win and will win handily. So I'm going to back Millwall to win, and Millwall and over 1.5 and over 2.5 match goals.
I think I'm going to start back in the
3 bets tomorrow.
Throw out there. You got a small fancy for some whatever. They're the ones I'm going to start backing, and your huge big naps of the weekends. I'm starting to see a pattern where we might start to clear them.
This wins. If Millwall don't win tomorrow, I won't show up next week.
Sorry, Gary. Gary, can I just interrupt here? You haven't wrote back to the last comment, right? He was reaching out to me.
Well, we
did. We
gave him a shout out. We gave Darren a shout out, and we asked him to
following you into the void.
Yeah.
Okay, but so we're not going to reply on the group itself, just to acknowledge people. We're just going to shout them out live.
We can if we can, but I'm sure Darren. The shout out on screen, like, you know.
No, we just throw it in there. Mark says thank you to the.
Like, I'm the first one with a fan, so I mean, just don't be hating on me. I mean, I'm going contra. I have a fan. Don't hate. Just give the respect to our fan.
Yeah, it's been responded to now, so.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Sorry, continue.
What's the time on the clock there, guys? Whoever Gary you're watching.
Both half time in Italy.
Yeah, Frosinone has just gone half time, and so has Wolves.
So that's a nice win for Lee. You're up to 55. I should have followed that as well. Oh, I think Darren, who might still be in the comments, we're not sure, is probably our first person to watch the show and come away with a winner. So.
Yes, thank you, Healy, Mr. Healy. No problem, sir. I hope
Come on, Darren.
Right, so halftime result draw that goes in Lee Gary's favour. So now it's 3-4. So it's pretty close. Good.
It is close. And I mean, actually, and the bets are identical until you get to the last 2, right? So, I mean, I'm looking for over 3 and Gary's looking for a 1-1, a 2-1 or something like that. So
we said it a lot of times. The Premier League is such a second half league. You know, it definitely blows up in the second half. So I can see, wouldn't be surprised if it goes over 1.5, 2.5 might be a bit of a stretch.
There's been some amount of chances in that first half as well. Like, there was 17 shots with 8 of them on target. Like, that's well above average.
Do we have the stats, LB, to throw on the screen?
I assume we're all going into back Frosinone to win, are we?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fight them. They were my pick.
I'm gonna put some.
No, we can't together. All do it. I'm going contra.
Double chance. Yeah, good man.
Good man.
Yeah. Well, it's half time actually in all the games before the Frosinone one comes back up. We give Gary or Slats the choice. Do you want to talk about your anti-post Cheltenham bet, Gary, or do we want to look at the Six Nations? I know there's an off week, Slats, so you might not be ready.
Well, I'm happy to talk about the Cheltenham.
We'll go to Gary. So I still don't really want to talk about the Six Nations, even though I feel like I'm going to have to.
Oh, we're definitely talking about the Six Nations.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, then we'll go over to Gary so for some anti-post Cheltenham insights.
Yeah, and I suppose the first thing to call out Cheltenham related is, as we mentioned earlier, but for any new viewers, we'll be having a Cheltenham preview night. So Sunday the 14th of March, about 6 or 7 p.m. Same channel. We're going to have a Cheltenham preview night. We're going to have a couple of guests on, hopefully a very special guest or two that we're still working on in the pipelines. So if you're into horse racing, or if you normally have a bet around the Cheltenham Festival, or even people in work you normally be talking to or whatever, and you want to have a few facts and figures, make sure to tune in on the 14th of March. Should be a good evening. We're going to try and spice things up, and work in a different format to the usual Cheltenham preview night. So, we'll keep you updated on our social media, look out for that. In relation to the anti-post bet that we have going, so this was posted a couple of weeks ago on sportsrundown.com, and I'm just going to stick it into the YouTube chat here. So basically, it's a fourfold, 10 or fourfold pays £25,000. So it was Energumen to win the Arkle Chase at 13-2. Abracadabras to win the Champion Hurdle at 14-1. Ellie May to win the Mayor's Hurdle at 4-1. And Album Photo to win the Gold Cup at 7-2. So they've all shortened in the market, which is good. Looking at it here, it's not a massive cash out, but my cash out has gone up to £7 million, 15 off the tenner stake. So any profit's a good profit, but I definitely won't be cashing out of it at this stage. So when we put the bet on, it was just before the Dublin Racing Festival. So Energumen ran at the Dublin Racing Festival. He was very impressive. So he's been cut from 13-2 into around 5-2. So he's second favourite now in that market, and I think he's only going to shorten as it gets closer. So that's good. Abracadabras is obviously the long shot. So we put him in here at 14-1. He's 12-1 now. So not much of a contraction, even though there is some movement in the price. He has a bit to do with Honeysuckle, so he's kind of beaten convincingly by Honeysuckle at the Dublin Racing Festival. But his form at Cheltenham last year is very good. The way he ran in or travelled into the race, travelled strongly into it, probably should have won. And I think the jockey, David Russell, would have been kind of disappointed to be beat on him that day. So if he bounces back to that level of form, he has some sort of a chance. And as I said, he's making up the big portion of our bet here to kick the odds and increase the odds. So he's a 14 and 12-1 shot for the reason. Album Photo won the last 2 Gold Cups. So we recommended him at 7-2. He's at the 3-1 now. I think he's only going to get shorter as well. That division, the Stay and Chase division, doesn't look that strong. So, and a lot of the kind of lead candidates have flattered to deceive recently. So I can see him tightening up towards the festival as well. And obviously he's won the last 2 years, so his credentials are there. And the last leg is Ellie May. So she's into about 5-2 now for the Mayor's Chase. She ran a very good race just before the Dublin Racing Festival, and then I think it was last week won well over a shorter distance and was fairly impressive. Beat a couple of so I think Shattered Love was in behind, and she'll probably reoppose at Cheltenham, and she was giving weight away and still beat her. So again, a few of those horses will drop out of that market. I can see Ellie May being even money or 5-4 on the day. So overall, the bet's looking good. It's still there. It's still live. Abracadabras, as we called out in the original preview, is the kind of long shot in there. But I'd be fair. If Abracadabras wins,
how are you feeling about them now since you put them on? Are you like you're?
I still think obviously the in the Champion Hurdle market, Epitante and Honeysuckle are kind of above Abracadabras in the market, and they deserve to be the favourites in that market. Abracadabras doesn't deserve to be near favouritism. But I said I'm just going that the ground will probably dry out. He'll like a bit of spring ground. He'll be fully tuned up for the race. And if he wins, I'd be fairly confident of this bet coming in, that way. So it'd be some buzz if we can get an Energumen in and Abracadabras in on the Tuesday, and then we're waiting until the Friday to have the second 2 legs run. It'll be a good buzz for Cheltenham. So I think when the last time I checked,
a safe bet to say that if that happens, Gary won't be around for the Friday night bet along if he's had his 25k winner earlier in the day.
Yeah, and I mean, the great thing Gary said in the WhatsApp today was that was the group bet, right? We didn't realize he put that on for Saul. So when we tweeted it out, we Gary has, he's just after explaining the whole rationale. I'm part of the group that doesn't really understand the horse racing, but you can understand he understands what he's talking about. So when he put that on the group, we were all delighted, right? It was going to be a fucking man who knows the stuff. He's throwing a fucking bet on for the lads. So we were delighted. And now it's after coming in from 25s to 25k out to 7. So
we'll do 5k each. That's all right.
Yeah.
You played that well anyway, Mark. Impressive.
Sorry,
we have it recorded. You have a record.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say that, so like obviously the odds have contracted now. So I think it's into around 100 to 1 at the minute. Still probably a bit of value in that. As I said, I can see an Ergumen and Ellie May shortening again in the market, probably Albion and Photo. So I wouldn't put people off even backing that now. And then, with Abracadabras in there, if you want to go each way as well. So we went straight.
Just with Abracadabras, Gary, anytime I've heard you talk about it, you talk about Honeysuckle. And is there a chance that you look at that one? Maybe I know you can't do it now, but closer to the time, betting without the favourite or something? Would you consider that? Or
yeah, I suppose the first thing on Honeysuckle is that she's not guaranteed to go to this race at Cheltenham. So she has an entry in the Mares Hurdle as well. And like in reality, she pissed the Mares Hurdle. She won the Mares Hurdle last year. So the owners went confident. Like she probably should have gone to the Champion Hurdle last season. And the owners wanted to just get a win at Cheltenham. So they went to the Mares Hurdle again. So there's the doubt there that she mightn't run. Now, I think the way she won at Leopardstown, she will run here. But Abracadabras is like a definite runner here. You know, unless he gets injured, he's going to run here. So, and I still get the feeling that on better ground, he'll get closer to Honeysuckle. The open question is Epatante, who's the other one up at the top of the market. Like she won the Champion Hurdle really, really well last year. She puts in that performance again. Abracadabras has a lot to do, but I said 14 to 1 is making up the price. So I'd be, we'll probably discuss, well, definitely discuss it at length Sunday, 14th of March, when we're doing our Cheltenham preview. And we'll have more of an idea, like the declarations and the entries and stuff will be confirmed by then. So we'll be able to nail our colours properly to the mast. But again, like, I wouldn't be against having 2 bets in the race if I've got this on, especially if an Ergumen goes in. You'll probably have to have a cover bet in that race anyway, considering that I'm fairly sweet on the last 2 legs, like, that way. So, that's anybody, just anybody watching in, like, let us know if you're into horses. Do you agree, disagree? Which one do you think is the dodgy leg? Who's your banker of the festival? Anything you'd like to see on the Cheltenham preview night? Any suggestions?
Yeah.
Again, get them in either in the comments today or within our link tree. So we can put our link tree in the comments as well. You'll be able to join our mailing list, get our updates, but also email us with any suggestions that you have. So as I said, let us know, because we want to cater to what you want. So make sure to get in contact.
Yeah, so sounds good,
Can I
Gary.
just throw it out there? Boavista are 3 to 1 to be winning at half time in a match that they seem to be dominating, like 18 dangerous attacks to 5. Marianne's, I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Haven't had a shot yet. Boavista have had 7 shots with 3 on target, 7 corners to 0. So like they're dominating the stats. There's still 20 minutes in the half, and they're 3 so I've just thrown a tenner on that. I think it seems a good price.
Yeah, I've actually done a bet for the second half as well. So just before we go back to that, check this out. Yeah. So I've done Frosinone at evens and Real Betis at 11 to 8. Both of them are at half time, so I stuck that.
Is that a double, Gary, or
a double? Yeah.
I've a fourfold here as well. I'll just shout out. It's a little similar. So yeah, I've Frosinone to win. I've over 1.5 goals in the Wolves Leeds game. I think like the stats in that first half look like there's definitely going to be goals coming. In the Dutch 2, Helmond Sport and Roda are drawing 1-1 at half time. So I've backed another 2 goals in that game. And then I've backed Boavista to win their match at 10 to 11. So that's paying out at about 16 to 1.
Just Boavista to win full time, 1.5 in the Leeds game.
Yeah.
2 more goals in the Dutch game.
Yeah, so it's over 3.5. And Frosinone to win.
Frosinone. I was actually looking at it there. Frosinone to win, or to whatever they are, just about evens, but they're 11 to 5 to win with over 1.5. And as we've seen loads of times in the Serie B, when it does kick off, it can really explode. So I think those odds aren't really based on the way the Serie B is.
Can I? Apologies for interrupting, right? But like, guys, I want to go back to something I saw. Back to the horse racing for a second, if we don't mind. I know we're
go ahead.
Just ask a question. Like, so there was the like O'Leary's horse that was racing, and he got weighted, right? And he was like, if he's around 150, 160, he's going to race him. But he got a weight around 170.
So that's Tiger Roll in the Grand National.
Yeah. And like my question is, as like I said to you, like I don't know a lot about horse racing. Is first of all, O'Leary seems to have a strong opinion about it, and second of all, there's actually a person in the racing authority in the UK who'll decide the weight a horse carries. And what is the determination that comes into that?
So there's a number of people, like there's a kind of committee, they're called the handicappers. There's probably 3 or 4 of them in the UK and 2 or 3 of them in Ireland. And it's their job basically to give each horse a rating. So
based on previous performance only.
Yeah. So basically, if you if you have a horse that's never run before, but after 3 or 4 runs, they'll get usually 3 runs, they'll get a rating, and then that rating is a measure of how good they are versus other horses they've beaten. And then over time, as they race more and more races, the rating will be adjusted every week, or every couple of weeks. So if you had a horse and it won last week, it could have got a rating of 100, right? And it differs on the flat and on the jumps.
But is there a benchmark to rate a horse, like, or is there a level?
Yeah, so there is. So like the best ratings on the in over like a national hunt is like in the 180s, so high 180s, and usually that means that if they're in a handicap, the weight that they'll carry.
Right.
So the rating is linked to like pounds of weight. And then if you're running a handicap, so basically the Grand National is a handicap. So the handicapper's job is to try and get all the horses that have like differing ability to be competitive. So they like the definition of a handicapper's job is that they should, like, all the horses should finish in a straight line. So if the handicapper did his job properly, you'd have a blanket finish. So if you have a 10-horse race, the 10 horses that finish on top of each other, it'd be like a neck between them. That's if they're doing their job properly. That's
so
kind of
I guess as well, if they did their job properly, all of the horses would be the same odds with the bookies. Yeah. They'd all have an equal chance of winning.
Yeah, you could argue that, but like obviously there's things that can be like train or form, and there's things that can be like horses are animals, so they're not going to run to the same.
Is this a conversation for the challenge night, like to get very deep into this, or is this?
Yeah, but like I mean, so you could get into the weeds on, I suppose, to keep it light for anybody who's watching and isn't into horse racing. The like the rating decides in a handicap how much weight you're going to carry, and that's what Michael O'Leary is basically saying.
Yeah.
If we're carrying too much weight, we're not going to run in the race, because he obviously, every owner, every trainer wants the horse to be carrying the lowest weight possible, because they have the better chance of winning then. But in theory, that's what so there's a panel that rate all the horses.
I brought the conversation up. I know you're the man who knows about it, and I'm only saying, should we get into this on our Cheltenham night, because it's actually so interesting from my perspective, because like, who are these people that are determining the weights that are being taken? How are the owners determining that that's an acceptable weight for them? You influence the jockey, the ground you were saying earlier. Like, there seems to be so many.
Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. They're usually not that public, the handicappers, but they've got a tough job to do. And there's an argument to say, is the system the best? Like, it is a good system, and it does work.
So who is a handicapper? Like, what? Like, how do you become?
They're hired by the British Horse Racing Association, so they're not allowed to bet or anything, obviously. But they're hired by the BHA and by the Turf Club or whatever in Ireland.
But is there a background as like jockeys or stable hands or trainers or?
No, just people, like, there can be a mixed background. It's just a job at the end of the day, like, you know. So like they usually have an interest in racing, but they're usually analytical, because there's a lot of things that come into it. Like, you know, they study the race times and the pace in the race. And
I'm going to say they want the background in being an actuary or something for
that job.
Yeah,
so like,
pretty much, yeah.
And they'd be like there's calculations out there, you know, by like how many lengths a horse gets beaten by, that equates to a pound of weight, and you know, that's how they assign it. So if a horse wins by 10 lengths, they do the kind of calculation, say, well, that equates to £2 in weight, so that horse is going to go up £2 in the handicap. So I said it's a tough job. It's actually
And do
a
you
very
find it
interesting
fair? Do you find the analysis fair? Would you
subject.
ever disagree?
Now, the only thing about the Grand National is the handicappers get kind of a license in that to be able to adjust the weights differently. So it's kind of specific to or an outlier to all the other handicappers. So the handicappers can adjust the weights kind of how they see fit, and they have a bit more free reign in the Grand National than they would in other handicaps. But overall, as I said, there's people's job out there to rate horses. The rating tells you how good they are. So the higher the rating, the better the horse is. Usually the ones that are up in the 180s or high 170s or whatever will be running in the grade 1 races. And in the grade 1 races or the grade 2s or grade 3s, they all run off level weights. So it's like they want to be the best available. But when it gets down into the lower rated horses, then they usually run in handicaps. They'll run against each other. And the way of making the races fair is to adjust the weight that they're carrying. So that, I said, you could get into a lot more detail on it. And actually,
we will on our
from
preview night. I think we should.
Yeah, we have a comment in here from Darren who says the Grand National handicapping is subjective. The only race where it's framed rather than running off official rating. So that's what I was saying in terms of the handicapper gets license, and that's why O'Leary would have been kind of putting pressure on the handicapper to use his kind of leeway to put a lower rating in there, whereas.
And do you think he was using, do you think he was right? This is the last question I'll ask because we're going to go back to the football, but do you think he was using his persona to or do you think he was right, or?
Well, I mean, you have to try. I don't like the way he did it. You have to try, but I think the weight he got is fair. He's gone up, I think he went up £6 from 2 years ago when he won it. He's won it the last 2 years. He hasn't been hammered. Like myself and Liam owned a horse on the flat who won. He's here behind me, Jupiter. We did, myself and LB. We owned a kind of in a syndicate horse on the flat, and he won a race off I think it was 47 when he won the race, which is like a basement rating of a horse. If you're talking about Tiger, and obviously different over flat and national hunt, but 50 or 47 is one of the lowest ratings you get. We won that race, and I think we went up £9 or £10, and he was never going to win a race again after it. So, we won £2,000 around Linkfield, and Michael O'Leary's winning, £1 million for the Grand National. So, it, as I said, the handicap system is hard, and it can be harsh on some horses, but it's really the only way of making things fair,
we will, I'm sure the guys, we're going to have that Cheltenham preview. I mean, I think in as a general sense, there's going to be hardcore horse racing people there, hopefully. But I think the whole handicapping scenario, who's involved, how you get to be there, and it's obviously very important in the horse race.
Yeah,
so.
we'll touch on the Cheltenham preview. I think most people who will be watching the Cheltenham preview will know about handicapping, but I think there's definitely a video or a discussion that we can record and put out on YouTube about it. Because it is an interesting subject, and as I said, you can get down into the very nitty gritty. You have to have.
It's actually something that we've talked about before. Is sort of standalone videos that aren't really necessarily bet-alongs. Where we'll take a topic like that. I think that's actually a good one, Lee, that we could look at.
It's a good point for the audience here, and the people watching in. So said about handicapping, he doesn't really understand it or has those open questions. So if you guys have anything either betting related, I know we have some American viewers, so there's different versions of how the odds are. Yeah, but even just the way the odds, we usually talk in fractional odds. There's decimal odds. There's the way the Americans do it with the plus and minus. If you have any questions on anything kind of gambling related or on the intricacies of horse racing,
Gary, are you saying we have some American viewers? I mean, I think they'll agree with us that when you have a hierarchy of odds or whatever you're doing to place your bets, the American way of doing it around 100 is the biggest joke system out there. So I think
you
Get
raised
involved.
that campaign
Change
last week, so
Yeah.
we'll continue on. But it is like I was raised on fractions, so I have to do it the fractional way.
Because
decimals,
massive 3-year-old, right? The Americans did
decimals I can get would not even get my head around, but I can deal with. But when they start talking in the plus 700s, I know how to calculate out, but it's not that hard. But even on a screen, it just doesn't look that good.
I think
the guy on
decimals,
Twitter
I'm the
said to
same
me,
as
he
you,
was like,
Gary. I'd be going with
Right.
fractional odds as my preference, but I think decimal odds are probably the best. Like they're the most kind of logical and straightforward if you're just new to it. And then
I think
the American
I
odds.
was brought up with the fractions, so I just can't.
Depends, right? Because like you have a feel for the odds when you're looking fractional, and then obviously decimal is logically cleaner, but at the same time, like 1.6, right? You're thinking about it, and then when I was talking to a guy in the States across the pond or whatever, and he was like, "Well, the American way to do it is the most straightforward because the average bet that you have is $100, and you're just like,
I mean, that can't even be true. Like, there's not people just going
definitely
around
not
putting
true.
£100 singles on every single bet. Like, it's just stupid, you
Definitely
know?
not true.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we
Just
missed
change
the
it.
comment there. Just sorry, before you go on. So LB has the bet at the festival in the comments. So we're going to say monkfish for that. In about 5 to 6 for Brown Advisory.
We'll come
I
back
can't
to
see
that
him
one.
beating.
So, yeah.
Monkfish.
Another odds-on pick for Gary. There we go. But
to go on my 2,500 to 1 ACCA.
Has anyone been following the Leeds match in any detail? I've had it on here. I've seen there's at least
No.
one more corner gone in the second half.
So there's 10 corners now overall.
That's 6-4. Yes, you're flying that one, Gary.
Nice. Again, just for anybody, like I know we've got a couple of new viewers here, LB. So do you want to give a quick rundown of what we're talking about, just because?
We'll flick over to the screen there. So as you can see up on the screen, we've got 10 different markets that are all in play in this Leeds Wolverhampton game. So Lee, you can see the top left, and Gary the top right. They've taken the opposite sides of each of the bets, and they've put up 50 quid a man to see who can get the most right out of 10. Lee stormed into an early lead, but he's slipping away there a little bit. Gary's racing back into it. Yeah, and so they're all more or less even when he bets. The Pedro Neto, Rafinha one wasn't, but Lee's already won that. So it's all down now to these last three, kind of over 2.5, over 10.5 corners, and both teams to score. So if those come in, whichever way they come in, the 50 quid will be paid one way or the other. There is still room there for a draw, actually.
I don't see Lee winning this now. Sorry to say.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, this is what I said to you. Like,
you need a team to win 3-0, like. Aside from the corners, unless the corners drastically dry up.
There's only one corner now left, so it's pretty much done.
So, like, you can
This
definitely...
is what we said, right? I had the whiskey earlier on, and then I claimed that...
You were wise to drink it when you had your lead, yeah.
Exactly.
Counting your money early, and now you're
well, you have to enjoy it while it's coming, right? The fucking backlash is going to come eventually, and that's unfortunately coming my way.
Back in the box, man.
They just say as well on this bloody Cagliari game that I had included in our ACCA for both teams to score. There's been 20 shots and not a single one has been on target. I don't know if I've ever seen that in a soccer match.
That is dismal.
That is one of the teams they've had 16 shots Cagliari and haven't hit the target yet. That's shocking.
Yeah, we went off on a real old tangent there on the horse racing. I didn't actually pay attention to the time, and that Cagliari game is. Fuck, it's gone north of 70 minutes here.
Oh, has it? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's going to knock the treble, so.
Yeah, and it's the odds-on one, the odds-on bet of the treble as well. 4 to 6.
Who was saying that we should put that in, and somebody else said don't do it?
You said your gut said that it was a good bet.
Somebody else put stats up and said no, it makes no sense.
Oh, the stats.
Do we need to bring the sheriff back, lads?
The stats back it up.
Well, I mean,
you had the sheriff was in the conversation as far as I can remember, and he didn't actually.
No, sheriff missed that. Sheriff missed it.
Yeah.
I'll get the hat on now, though.
So in fairness, the Frosinone one is looking pretty dodgy here as well. So I've redeposited them all in on Frosinone here Frosinone in over 1.5, so need them to pull the finger out. Pescara have actually had 2 absolute massive chances in the second half.
Wait, can I just interrupt for a sec? We're going to raise a glass to a mate of ours, just in general. Yeah.
You kind of have to explain that if you're going to do it. But yeah.
No, not really. We all know what we're talking about. We're just going to raise a glass to the man who's not here, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I should laugh at that part, but that was the biggest weird introduction you've given.
I think I completely misunderstood. I thought you were doing it for a mate of yours in the who had just viewed the channel. We were giving a shout out to a pal. Yeah, but
no, a mate of ours who should be here. That's what I'm saying. Anyway.
Yeah.
Back to the football. For Frosinone, they need to get a finger out big time here. But anytime I look at the game here, they're camped in the Pescara half.
Looking at the stats, it looks like Pescara had a bit of action going early in the second half there. They had a few shots on target. But, yeah.
So I'm kind of trying to watch 2 games at once here.
Funny there for a moment. But, yeah, Pescara had 2 absolute sitters, 2 shots on target, but definitely should have been goals. I think I was talking to myself for a moment there. But they had definitely the 2 chances of the match so far have been actually Pescara, unfortunately.
I did the kind of stupid thing of actually looking up the stats of that Boavista game after placing my bets on Boavista, and they're sitting bloody bottom, second from bottom in the Portugal Premier League, and Rennes are 7th, so I'm kind of regretting backing them for the win now. And as well, of course, as to put my bet on them, they didn't have a single shot after, and conceded 4 shots. So that one isn't looking good for me. I'll be hoping to get some sort of cash out.
As soon as you put your bet on, it's the last shot that team has.
Exactly. It's gone that way. It's been that way so far. So
it's gone. But you say it's gone half time, right? 0-0 half time.
0-0 half time, yeah. So if the other games go my way in the next 15 or 20 minutes, I'll be cashing out for sure.
I presume you didn't lay that one, Lee.
No, so I have 30 on the draw. Wolves Leeds pays back fucking evens pretty much, and then the draw
That's
for
just Cagliari. Your profit rolling on.
Yeah, and then the draw for Cagliari, Wolves to win and Betis to win as well. That's where my money is.
Nice one.
Yeah.
I'm on Betis as well, but I like the way you went all foreign there with your Betis.
Oh, sweet. Torino scored there, which, you've said before. I know it's late in the game, but I would have taken either team scoring, but the away team who have been dominated for most of the game, scoring actually gives a bit of hope for both teams to score in that match.
Oh, it's so much better when that happens, isn't it?
Like you were saying, Cagliari have had 16 shots without hitting the target. That was the first shot on target of the match and resulted in a goal. So hopefully Cagliari can get one back now, and our treble is actually looking quite decent again.
We're getting the key bun time. How are we looking for the night? So who's in profit? Does anyone have any profit there for the €20 shout for the night?
Not sure. Three of us went bust. Once you don't lose your bank, you've that wrapped up, Lee. You need to just stop betting, if anything.
Or just take £1 and put it to the side. You're definitely going to win.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't do that because we didn't have this conversation fucking 3 minutes ago. But yeah,
I was out first, unsurprisingly. So yeah, I'm done. Looking at it, my reload here is it's gone a bit flat now in the Frosinone game, but I'm still confident they'll get a winner. But I don't know if they'll get the 2 goals that we're hoping for. The Leeds game went suspended briefly, Gary. Nothing actually came of that, did it?
No, it was just a free kick. I'm actually starting to sweat about the corners now. They've kind of. I know there's still a half an hour left.
Winding down a lot, yeah.
Dried up a little bit. When it first panned onto the screen, I thought the free kick was closer in, and Rafinha was taken, so I thought it might have been a second shot on target. But was a little bit too far out for a shot.
How many corners are we at now, guys?
10 corners, and for 11 corners on Bet365, it's 1-8. So I'm hoping I'm onto a winner there, but you're never sure until it's in the bag, like, you know.
So if the corners is crucial, right? Because if both teams to score like over 2.5 isn't coming in, right? So you win that. I both teams to score and no. So if it finishes 0-0, that means it goes down to the corners.
Yeah. But you've got the one lead, Lee. So if it doesn't come in, I'd be looking at that differently. I think
it's tight. It's great, actually. It's great. It's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, although in hindsight, we might put in an 11.
Leeds should have scored there.
Do an 11.
Who scored?
Leeds should have. Keeper made a great save from, like, basically there was a free kick that came in. I think it was Bamford from the edge of the 6-yard box. Like, headed it, the keeper saved, and the ball went out again. And someone else had a kind of a half chance, and the keeper saved it again. So, could have done with that goal for my both teams to score now.
Oh God, Wolves just scored.
Oh, you should see the goal as well, lads. So, like, Adama Traore takes a shot from about 30 yards, and he hit the crossbar and came down. Keeper dived for it, hit him in the back, and rolled in. So he was about 4 yards off his line and landed on the ground and hit the crossbar, come back, hit him on the back, and went in. It's actually ridiculous. Hit him in the back of the head, like, but he's a good 4 or 5 yards off his line. But yeah, fucking, it's a great goal.
Holding his back for the
keeper.
Say that again.
Like, Traore was celebrating, he was holding his back as if he was injured, and I was looking at the replay, and it was just like,
I think he pulled a muscle or something in his back there when he was taking the shot. Yeah. He kind of tweaked it a little bit before he took the shot. Yeah. But that's grand. That's me rolling now. So 1 goal, 1 corner, Leeds goal in the corner, and
fuck off.
I think I have it in the bag, do I? Lads, just on the comments here, we have a comment from Keith Brown. Looking to know our top tips for the weekend. So we're going to rehash, if anybody was watching earlier that hear me saying it, but Millwall tomorrow is my best bet. So Millwall to win and over 1.5, and Millwall to win and over 2.5 are going to be the 3 bets I put on tomorrow. So that's from me, Keith. Lads, you guys got any tips for Keith?
My tip to Keith might be just to take Gary's nap of the weekend with a pinch of salt. I think there's so many things.
On the contra. Keith, the contras, right, mate, follow this shit. You're going to just back the ante and you'll be grand.
Now, Keith's just joined in. He's not going to know what that means. So give a bit of background there, Lee, that you're backing against us all night and you're in the money.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've had an unfortunate run of form. So, I mean, there's been a lot of very close bets, right? And I mean, last week I just decided just to go against the lads, and it actually worked out quite well. You know, Slats was doing his thing, right, looking at the numbers and that, but I was just going with my gut. Ended up 50 last week. Decided I was going to go against the lads. Started out that way tonight. Doubled the money, and
we didn't want the life story now, Lee. Come on.
Well, sorry. I mean, I just had to, like, I mean, Browner's going to be with me. So it's going to be me and Browner as the contras, right? He's going to be our follower, and that's it. So you can take your own fans. It's me and Keith, and that's all.
Now there, Keith. Hopefully that's good enough for you. Slatter LB, have you guys any top tips for Keith? And Keith, let us know your tips as well.
I definitely don't have a banker for the weekend, but just out of my own interest, I was looking at the Munster game and just looking for an interest bet in it. So Andrew Conway's back for that game. He's missing for a few weeks for personal reasons. So it's not like he's coming back from an injury where he might be up to match fitness. He should be rearing to go, hopefully. Him to score the first try, and Shane Daly, who's starting on the wing for Munster, to score 2 or more tries, is 100 to 1. So just for a bit of an interest bet. I was going to go with that. I can see you're eager to say something, Gary. So the other one is just John Klein to score the first try of the game is 66-1. So again, just a small stake on that for a bit of interest on that game. That's tomorrow night at 7:30. Then away to Edinburgh.
Yeah,
but sorry, Gary.
Just saying that it was nearly both teams to score was nearly in. Leeds had a good chance there that was saved, but the save went out for a corner. So corners are officially in. So the leaderboard is looking slick.
So that's 4 apiece. If Leeds score one more goal, you win it. If Wolves score 2 more goals or more, Lee wins it. And if it's over, if there's 2 more goals scored with Leeds scoring, it's shared. Or if there's no more goals, it's shared.
There's no more goals, it's shared. If Leeds score, I win. And
well, no, if Leeds score and there's another goal after that, it's shared as well. Because it'll be over 2.5.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we just want Leeds to score and then that's it.
Yeah, I think I had a little connectivity issue there when you were talking about. I heard a lot of the end of it, but just bets of the weekend as well. Just the Milan derby this weekend, which is obviously just a great one to watch it. And I know in recent years it's been a bit more Inter's. They've been doing better than Milan, but Milan have had a huge resurgence this year. They've been terrible. They were terrible last weekend, and it was definitely a blip. They weren't up for it. I think they thought they were going to win, kind of complacent. They're 3-1 at home. I know it's not exactly home. It's a shared stadium with no fans.
3-1 at home.
Yeah, 3-1, and they're nearly. I think they were 29-10. So basically 3-1. To be 3-1 within a few seconds of that game kicking off, it makes no sense. I don't know what the logic is there. And Inter have actually picked up a few results recently, but they haven't looked great. So I think that's definitely one to look at. I'll be back in Milan anyway myself, so that would be my bet for the weekend. Yeah, sure. I heard as well that you won your corners bet there, Gary. So it's actually really hotting up here now in the BETALONG.
Yeah, it is. Hopefully, as we get through it there, hopefully Leeds get one more back, and then it stays like that for me to take the 50 quid. But yeah, Lee, you can't win now, can you? There's no chance of.
No, I think I can only split.
Yeah, it's good.
If Wolves do 3-0, he gets the over 2.5.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
realistically, come on. Well,
I don't think
so it's still all to play for. So
2-0,
because 1-1 is likely.
Yeah, exactly. Like Leeds might start getting desperate then as well. So I think it's on.
Yeah,
there.
Well, thanks for a bit of fucking support, because since the kickoff and I was drinking my whiskey after 5 minutes, right, it's been 3-1. So I mean, I appreciate a bit of support.
I think, Lee, you were, I don't want to say arrogant, but you were too confident in your victory and it was too premature. Maybe you lost the audience. It was showboating. That's the word, showboating.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you didn't say arrogant, because you need to enjoy our moments. I mean,
3-0, by the way, 3-0 is 20-1 at the minute.
And what's 1-all?
7-2. So I know the bookies are looking at it.
Slats, I'm going to throw this comment over to you.
Yeah.
So Keith's back again with a comment on Irish rugby. So
we'll actually move over. We'll do the full Six Nations moment now, Slats.
Yeah, this could be a good lead into it. So Keith's comment is thoughts on Irish rugby at the moment, which you could probably write a book on at this stage, Slats, and we could talk for ages. But do you want to give a quick
I don't want to write a paragraph on it. Never mind it. It's I mean I don't think Farrell is the man for the job. I think is the bottom line from what we've seen the last few games. He got kind of promoted from assistant coach from Schmidt, which in some ways is fair enough. There's a bit of logic to it. There's a bit of loyalty to it, which you'd kind of have to admire. But he's never been head coach of any top club or any international. So he's completely new to it, and I don't think it's rare enough that you're going to get success out of that. So I think that's one of the biggest problems. Outside of that, I mean, if you look at the 2 games so far, I think they've been quite unlucky. The red card, it was a clear red, under rules. I don't think there was any malice or anything in it. We still could have won that match, even with 14 players for most of the game. And then, France on good form came to Dublin against the, quite dejected Irish team, missing, I mean, arguably our 4 most senior players in Murray, Sexton, Ryan, and O'Mahony. Any four of them could have been captain over Henderson, who stood in, who hadn't, didn't even play the week before and stood in captain and had a pretty decent game himself. But if you're missing four big players like that and you don't have a huge amount of depth, especially in the halfbacks, then you're going to struggle. Again, it was another game. It could have been one. But my biggest disappointment about that game was that, with a score between us, a drop goal or penalty would have been enough. And they had possession going when the clock was going into the red around halfway. I think they brought it 10 yards forward, and you'd be hoping, over the last 5 years, you'd be expecting an Irish team against anyone to give themselves at least a chance of a penalty or a drop goal. They mightn't hit the drop goal, they mightn't make it, but they'd get themselves into a position at least to go for it. And they got forward maybe 10 yards. France just drove them back into their own half.
Yeah, they were pushed back fairly easily, weren't they? Like,
they were
going anywhere. Like,
the stats on that was 16 phases. 16 phases for -8 yards. That's what they.
And then I think it was Hugo Keenan.
At what point do we cut our losses here? Like, at what point do we cut our losses and just saying, right, the next generation for the World Cup? Like, this is...
Yeah, well, what's disappointing, and that's, I don't know, was it ULB or someone I was saying to, like, it looks like for the Italy game, they're going to play the 2019 World Cup losing team, down in Italy. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, the kind of... I mean, I know it's your first choice players 1 to 15, but...
For what, though? Just to not finish last?
This is it. Like, I don't know, is it just Farrell trying to kind of cling on to
it? It's desperation, and that's what it is that he's not,
he
doesn't have, like, if you take a coach who's coached, Pro 14 or the Premiership in England for 10 years, and he's got, even if he doesn't have trophies, if he's just got, 50 wins under his belt, he's not going to feel that nerves now. But Farrell is looking at this going, that it's a car crash for him. You've got to beat Italy. But I would say the same. Like, some of those older guys in the Irish team, but first of all, they'd be too old for the World Cup. But even, like, say, Earls, right, who could still be one of our best back threes.
Our senior players, like what Browner is saying on the chat, right?
There's no reason to play him. You know what they can do in 3 years' time. So you know exactly what they'll be able to do. So might as well get some new blood in. But I think Farrell, he doesn't seem to have it.
No, but Ian Henderson is captain. Like, he's not a fucking captain. Like, he's not a prominent
I'd have nothing against Henderson being captain. Like, I'd say he'd have the backing of the team.
Sorry, quick question. Keith has two kind of questions in here.
Yeah.
So can we keep the questions coming? Fair play to you. First question seems to be around, so we don't rate Farrell, but what you think of the backroom team?
Paul O'Connell, by definition.
The second is he doesn't think that there's any senior players stepping up these days. So what's I suppose yourself and NLB would be the two rugby experts here. So what's your take on those thoughts? Do you agree with Keith or disagree?
I mean, I think it's hard to judge the individual coaches because you're going to be judging the overall performances. So
sorry, can I just say one thing? Right, I heard an analysis on RTE and it was like, oh, our scrum is great, our fucking line out is great, but our forwards coach, Mike Catt, is the forward coach for Ireland, is he?
Yeah.
And they were like, our forward play is shit. How can you differentiate forward play being shit and then say your scrum, your line out is great?
Well, it's the loose play versus the set piece, I guess.
Yeah, okay, but like that was such a strong opinion. Like the loose play is shit.
Yeah, well, and the breakdown as well would be another big one. And like when we're talking about them getting driven back 8 yards in an attack to give yourself a platform to score at the end of the game, that sort of thing. It's not a set piece. It's not a scrum or a line out. It's just carrying the ball, winning the breakdown, getting go forward ball, getting a bit of momentum.
But how much is that down to Mike Catt or bad players or bad organisation or bad head coach? Like, it seems like just a deference to Mike Catt being the forward coach as the worst thing in the Irish team.
No, I would say the set piece is a reflection on the forward coach more than anything. The performance, the loose play performance, is more down to the management and the structure of the team overall.
The loose play stuff, Slats, I would actually say is that, and obviously you've never played even remotely near a level where it matters, but like, is that when you don't know what the team is going to do, when there's no kind of, whether Munster back in the day, they were going to put her up the jumper and just drive it forward. Leinster, they were going to run their funky lines and get it out wide. But Ireland at the minute, it's just kind of like, we'll get the ball. Whoever's playing at 9 or 10 is just going to hoof it up the field. So it's very hard to commit and play to drive that forward half a yard after half a yard when just, 80% of the time it's going to go back to Murray or whoever's playing in 9 and just boot the ball, just too far that you'll never chase up after it and just not high enough that you've no chance of catching it. It's just...
Yeah, well, I actually
the whole system was broken down.
I thought their kicking game was better against France than it had been.
It was better, but they still kicked it
They contested
3
a lot
times
of
more than they should have
done.
And they contested more than normal, but they still put the team under a huge amount of pressure by kicking it away more than was necessary.
I mean, France aren't the team you want running back.
More comments in that I think we're all going to agree with. So 2 from Keith that says the Six Nations is gone and bring in some new lads and blood them. And then the second comment that Keith has is that Paulie's a great addition and the Farrell just isn't up to it. So I think we all kind of agree with that. I mean, I think nobody's going to disagree with this next statement from Darren, who says taxi for Lee. So I don't think that's in doubt. So Darren, cheers for that. That's comment of the night, I think. But Keith says one other thing in relation to Keith Earls. Says he was like a soccer player at the weekend, looking at the red. So I know as a devout Munster fan, you're not going to like to slag off Earls, but do you want to give Earls' performance at the weekend a bit of a rating?
I mean, like Earls was talking himself about that he, hasn't been playing his best rugby, but for the rugby he's put in for us for Ireland and Munster, I think he's allowed to have a bad game. And I don't think the wingers are getting. I don't think the game is built around getting the ball out wide to the wingers and giving them, a huge amount of ball anyway. So it's kind of what they themselves. I mean, looking at last week's game, James Lowe offers a lot in attack and has been great for Leinster, but his defence was showing up massively. I don't, I think Earls is still kind of reliable and solid at the back. He's still the fastest on the team, and well capable of going forward, taking on players, cutting back inside. I still think he does well and fix the game line. I actually didn't think he played that poor against France. He had a poor game against Wales. He was quiet enough against France, but I don't think he did a huge amount wrong.
There's definitely been a few of the flashier younger players, without naming names, who have been shown up in the last 2 games, especially on the defensive side. They just race out of the line.
Yeah.
Or get...
Well, I mean, Gibson Park and Lowe that were brought in and have done great with Leinster, but then they're playing with Leinster when Leinster are going into matches against much weaker opposition, and they're running riot, so it's kind of look good, I suppose. When you're coming up against a strong French team, you're more likely to get shown up. Hugo Keenan that's come through has been impressive at fullback, and seems to be nailing down that position as his. So I mean, that's one positive to take from the kind of the back line.
He actually makes a good comment there.
Yeah, I was just going to call that out.
I'll leave it to you, Gary.
Oh, go ahead.
No, he just said that Murray made loads of box kicks against Wales. Gibson Park comes on and has no box kicking. So what was the plan? Like, there was obviously no plan or lack of communication of that plan there. Why was there the drastic change between the two players?
But I'd ask the question, right, as a non-rugby playing person, and
Lee,
to you,
we've already given Darren the comment of night for saying taxi for Lee a few minutes ago.
No, but I mean,
let the expert handle this. Let's go on over to you.
Well, I thought the kicking was better the last night, but I do agree that there does seem to be. You wonder, is it the player's decision to be taking these kicks on, or is it the tactics? I assume there must be some communication.
But that was the question, right? What is the tactic behind box kicking when you're on the halfway line? Like, what is the tactic? You hope they don't catch it, and you catch it yourself.
Having possession within kicking distance of your own posts, there's always a bit of danger to it. Like you give away a penalty holding on to the ball, that sort of thing. So you don't want to play in your own kind of red zone, as they call it. Like halfway is probably a bit outside that. But yeah, I mean, the idea is that you just don't want to be holding possession and running possession inside your own half. You want to get it into the opposition half and put pressure on them there. The box kicks should always be contestable as well. And, there's wingers there. I mean, I thought against France we contested a few of them pretty well. Turned over a few. I mean, won a few of our own kicks. into their territory. So that sort of thing, you're giving yourself, a bit of a chance there. But yeah, I mean, a team like France, you don't really want running back at you either. It could have been that to limit the extent of the kick somewhat. I don't think we had a huge amount of success passing the ball out wide and running the ball. So when you're put under pressure,
we don't have the one thing I'll say is actually, LB, when the game was on last weekend and you were saying we're kicking it, we're doing this, but we actually the French actually coughed up a lot of ball under the high kick, right? And we recovered, not that they coughed up, but we recovered quite a bit of ball under the high kick.
How much would you say we recovered? 4 in the match, maybe 5 at most. I mean, you're giving it to probably one of the best running nations. Sorry, the best running Northern Hemisphere nation in the world. You're giving them the ball 15 times a game.
More than I thought we've recovered. They were kicking the ball and it was in the air, and I was like, Jesus, why are they doing that? And then actually there'd be a mistake or someone would win it, but we recover, right? So my view was the same as yours. But then I was like, what players do we have? And we kind of discussed this last week. What players do we have to be throwing it out wide and blitzing down the line? And I mean,
but just because you're not going to get it down the line, there's definitely alternatives to just kicking it away as well. So I would say that we've had years where the pack would run with. I know we talked earlier on about the loose forward play is not great either, but it's definitely more. It's no way that it's worse than kicking the ball away 15, 20 times a match, because you're giving them the chance for you to make the mistake.
I'd like to go. I'd like to look back at it again. Not that I ever, want to sit through that match again. But for how many times France successfully ran back at us with ball that we kicked away. Fair enough, a lot of the kicks we're not going to win, but you're still just putting it on France to kick it back at you or to clear their own lines.
Yeah.
So there's going to be sometimes where they run it back at you, and there's sometimes where you turn over the ball from your kick. And I wouldn't say France successfully ran the ball back at us more often than we turned over. Now, once we turned over,
it was an unusually conservative French performance. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we gave them too many chances, and I mean, generally, the way when we get to World Cups, the way it goes is we beat the teams we're better than, and then we get to France, Argentina, Wales, any of the running teams, and then they do run it back past us because that's what they're able to do. But you said it earlier as well about the Low and those players getting shown up defensively. If you're getting shown up defensively, which we were the week before as well, and if you give good runners a chance to run it, you're not stellar defenders. There's no point in giving them the ball as much as.
Yeah, but how can't a winger tackle? A winger needs to be able to tackle, right?
Well,
yeah.
I don't have an answer to that.
It's the basics. A winger.
Oh, Vista scored, by the way.
I saw that. Yeah.
I was going to just say, as much as the rugby conversation is enthralling, there's obviously 5 minutes left in the Leeds game, so maybe we just get back to cheering on Leeds to score.
Yeah, let's go back. Yeah, so we need Leeds to score.
For any late joiners, do you want to give a quick overview of the state of play, the concept, and why winning 50 quid in a couple of minutes time?
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. So if anyone who's not seen the show earlier tonight, or you're unfamiliar with what we have on the screen, it's the BETALONG. So it's 10 markets here from the Leeds Wolves game, all in play at various stages in the game. Lee on the left hand side of your screen there and Gaz on the right have taken opposite sides of each bet. It's 50 quid a man, and they're going to they made their calls before kickoff, and then we're going to see who gets the most right calls throughout the game. Lee stormed into an early lead there with a few of the early novelty bets, and then Gary's had a lucky glut of corners that has brought him back right into it. So it's a tough one to call at the end. Now it's 1-0.
Proper analysis is what it's called.
Yeah. The football version of roulette is all corner betting, is Gary. So we've got 2.5 goals is going to get Lee the win. It's looking unlikely now. Both teams to score. We'll get Gary there. It's probably more likely, but what is it now? 4 apiece. So it's probably looking like the draw. I'd say the draw is about 1-5 stats. What would you say?
The draw in which, sorry?
In the competition, not in the game.
Sorry, yeah. Draw in the competition, yeah. Odds on. I mean, yeah, you can't see Wolves scoring 2 goals here. Even if they got one, surely they'd just be shutting up shop. So a Leeds equaliser.
Gary is the favourite here, though, I'd say, right?
Possibly, yeah. But the draw seems to be the most likely between the two.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
We have a question for Gary as well from Moonwolf in the comments. Thoughts on Mike Cox, insider, and his comments about Wolves? What are your thoughts on that, Gary?
I mean,
So I'm having a few technical difficulties here, lads. So maybe someone else can take that.
It's a convenient technical difficulty that you know the
Yeah,
question.
just
goes.
no, it ain't Moonwolf, for fuck's sake. I mean, feel free to join us earlier in the night. First of all, for fuck's sake, don't be throwing such a technical question at us.
I must admit
I
that
mean-
question went over my head now. I don't even know what it means, so that's why I passed it to Gary.
Sorry, no, but my whole screen froze. All I heard was Gary and Mike Cox.
So what are your thoughts on Mike Cox?
Yeah, so
insider?
Gary, your pop,
Wolves?
and yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is, to be totally honest with you. So
Yeah,
maybe we could get an elaboration in the comments. Might help us with that one.
yeah. I mean, come on, Moonwolf, give us a bit more than that. I mean, we're more than welcome to engage, but you need to be a bit more descriptive.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because it's one of those questions that will be very, very clear once it's explained to us.
And I mean,
What's the time
like,
on the clock, by the way, Gary, or Lee, in the Wolves game?
87. But I mean, just to come back on a general topic that we discussed, or there's a comment on the group there, Keith Brown, 100% must be able to tackle, right? I mean, football is not the same game, right? Tackling is being discredited as a skill in football, and that's a fact, right? It's, football's moving towards being a technical game, skillful, blah, 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 blah. But the skill, which is actually a skill of being able to tackle in a high kind of speed environment, straight in, tackling someone, is being discredited and it's being removed from the game. And it's like, I mean, I don't know.
It's definitely been removed from the game. I'd agree with that. They don't.
Yeah.
It's getting pushed out.
It is 100%, and you can nail someone in the tackle, and this is the thing, right? We on our Twitter, we had something shared today about some Australian Sunday League player, right? He's wearing a cap, he's wearing his little top, right? Whatever, it doesn't it doesn't matter, but that's the reality of football. Is Sunday League. You put a tackle in, you don't mean any harm to someone, right? You might hurt someone, but you don't mean any harm, and that's all that matters. But professional football has gone to shit, in my opinion, and it has really gone to shit.
I don't think that's what Keith was talking about.
I think Keith was talking about the rugby, to be honest. But
yeah, you go. I'd like to circle back to a point we made earlier, and then just went off in an absolute 90-degree tangent there. So, Keith, I'm not sure if you meant that you were referring to when we said fullbacks need to be able to tackle in rugby, or that
I'm fairly sure Keith was talking about the rugby conversation. But and if we were in a pub right now, we'd be taking that Guinness off League. But
I don't care. Keith understands what I'm saying. He knows what I'm saying. If he's a rugby fan and he's talking about fucking tackling rugby, he knows what I'm saying about football. That's all I'll say.
Good point, well made. I'm actually interested now about this Mike Cox insider. I don't know whether that's one of those things, like Bart Simpson used to ring up Mose and be like, can I speak to him?
How do you say it? Yeah.
So, either Moonwolf is taking the absolute piss out of us and having a private joke, or he was actually serious and we just don't understand the question. So, Moonwolf, let us know what you think. And
we'd look for the elaboration anyway. Might be good to help there. That Leeds match must be really close to full time now, guys.
Yeah, it's there's 5 minutes injury time, so there's a bit left, but it's into that injury time window now. I
think while we were having our rugby conversation, and I have to admit I wasn't watching the Leeds game while we're having it, but I've just seen a kind of a text come in about Bamford having a close call for offside, I think. I'm just looking at it here.
A Leeds get in comment. So
yeah, there's basically a marginal offside decision that's gone against Bamford, and I'm actually looking at it here. How they can tell he's offside? There's
well, look, we cut Lee off on his football is being ruined rant, and we're going to cut you off on VAR and referees offside, because anyone who's watched the show before had seen probably 7 or 8 hours of that conversation.
It's just inevitable. Yeah, when you're about an hour and a half into the show, it just spirals into the spark.
Yeah. Gary's 4th bottle of Asahi turns into
Darren is complaining that somebody gave a hot tip on Frosinone at half time and it hasn't won, so he wants to know who gave it. I think we all agreed on it, Darren, to be honest. But
no one didn't. Back the contract, Darren.
Did you lay that, Lee?
The contract.
Did you lay it, Lee?
Huh?
Did you lay Frosinone?
No, I didn't, and I should have. I shouldn't. I should have.
I think the tip came from our Italian expert with the dodgy tash.
No,
Darren,
not about that tash.
Listen, you won your halftime bet. Stick with me. Stick with the contras. Right, the rest of them don't mind them. Don't mind them.
There's going to be a miserable run to the season where every time we come up with a research bet, Lee lays it, and he's going to be up about 40,000% by the end of the season.
I'm actually that's my goal for the rest of the season, just to lay the bets. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you that I'm backing you, just so we have the positive mental attitude. But
Frosinone just missed an absolute
yeah.
Like the ball dropped. Good defending in the end, but your man, the howler of a keeper move, and the ball dropped to him on the penalty spot.
That's well into injury time there as well, right?
Oh, it's 93 of the 94 minutes gone. So
yeah,
I'd say it's done.
You backed Betis though, did you? Like I did, Slat. So Betis won 1-0, or they're winning 1-0, but I also missed. Like we have some record of missed penalties on this stream.
It's becoming a joke, isn't it?
They got one of the dodgiest penalties you've ever seen, and then took one of the worst penalties you'll ever see as well. So, but it looks like they're going to win 1-0.
Yeah, the over 3.5 in that Dutch game, Slats, just fell short as well. 2-1, I see it finished, or 1-2.
Yeah, I think it's over now, is it? Yeah, it was 2-1.
Yeah, it's gone full time. Yeah, so it's just basically all this down to is Lee can't win. It's going to be a draw unless there's a late Leeds goal. Is that what it is, Gary? Lee, am I right in reading that?
On my screen, it's just gone 94 minutes now.
Please God, I can't lose that to guys. I can't lose it.
It would be perfect.
I mean, well, I'm gonna have a glass of whiskey if I do. I'm gonna have a glass of whiskey if I don't.
But I was gonna say you've been having a glass of whiskey all night, man.
I can't lose that. I can't lose that.
No, I mean it's fairly appropriate if our first head-to-head, our maiden voyage of the BETALONG is a draw.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not happy that I didn't.
Lads, just on the Leeds game, Rafinha did come in as well. So for our treble, I think our treble ended up being 2 goals away.
That's a very generous way to describe that Frosinone result.
So then I think the football's wrapping up here, lads. So there seems to be a rugby question in here from Paul Nolan again, and it goes back to something that we were talking about earlier. So Paul's saying that the modern international teams no longer want the ball, they kick it with the intention, or kick it early with intention, whereas holding on to it and looking for phases, it'd be better. He's saying statistically, the team that kicks the most wins the game. So Slats, what's your thought on that?
There's a spot quiz question for Slats.
That's a fucking big question.
I mean, are you like when you looked at Wales taking on Ireland 2 weeks ago? I think Ireland had maybe 65-70% of possession, and Wales won that match. So they just wanted to give it back to Ireland. They were comfortable defending and happy just letting Ireland have the ball, taking their opportunities then when they came. But I mean, you know, I remember Munster in the Raj days, and we'd go down to France, and I mean, on a number of occasions, have around 25-30% of possession and leave with a win somehow. And it was just, you know, it was Munster. They were happy to defend, happy to just let the home side, you know, wear themselves out, running at them and just defend them. And then you take your opportunities, which
rugby must be the only sport that you kick the ball away and it's actually a strength. Like, it's like playing football and you're kicking it down to the fucking centre half and you're like, that's like you're playing possession. Like, it must be one of the few sports that you give the ball away and it's actually a net benefit.
Yeah, well, it's more territory than possession. Like, I guess a lot of sports are more about you have possession and you look to score from your possession, whereas rugby can be about you look to the
Yeah.
territory.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's probably one of the hardest games.
So
to actually get
here's one
beyond.
for your stats, and I think we need to sign Paul up for our stats corner that we're going to be running. But Paul saying that France kicked the ball for 2,464.7 meters so far in the Six Nations, which is the most of any team. Ireland passed 454 times versus France's 214. So there's
I
a few
actually would
stats
like
for you.
to follow up with Paul on that. Like, did they kick the ball?
Yeah.
They didn't gain that amount of meters, obviously. They just
No,
kicked
they
it away.
didn't gain it. They just kicked it away 100 times a game, and then it ran back on them.
But that's France that did that, right?
France, yeah.
Yeah, France have kicked those meters, yeah. I mean, and France
like in American football, you're talking net kick, right? And I know it's a set play, but like in the live game, I mean, I don't know. Like, I've never played rugby, but kicking the ball away, you need to be sure that's going to be a net benefit, right? So France have kicked the ball 2.5 kilometers in one game, or whatever that stat is, so far in the Six Nations, right? What is the net gain from that?
2 wins, I suppose.
Yeah,
gain.
2 wins would be
I
a
don't
net
know.
gain.
But in terms of yards, like, is that the key stat that's made them win that, or what is it?
Well, I'm sure combined with just being an overall good team, but
having Antoine Dupont that doesn't do any damage either.
Yeah, it's definitely that. It's not the same sport because the quality of the kick is massive. Like we had a couple of kicks for Ireland in both games where they're kicked pretty far, don't make touch or go behind for a dead ball. Those are unbelievably negative meters where you kick it half the distance and it goes out, bounces out, and you get the line out halfway down the pitch. Well, then it's a much better kick. So it's clear, but yeah, there definitely is a pattern between teams kicking and teams.
I would have been hoping to see more of that from Ireland. Would be kicking to the corners and putting pressure on the French lineout, because like I think we were 100% on our lineouts, and I think we won maybe 3 out of 12 of theirs or something like that. We turned them over a few times. Even the ones we didn't win, we put pressure on them. So kicking into the corners and pressuring the set piece more than the kind of Gary Owens and trying to challenge their back three.
Yeah, 100%. Well, look, we're up on time, so we're going to wrap this up. We've had an enormous amount of viewers tonight, so we're very pleased with that. And thanks to everybody who tuned in and is still watching. So make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll be back the same time next week for the same type of show. It'll probably be myself versus Slats in the BETALONG, and hopefully it's not a lame draw like the two lads had tonight. We'll have a much more detailed Six Nations breakdown. So for Paul and Keith and the rest of you interested in the rugby, Slats will have couple of great bets for you over the weekend, like he has every Six Nations weekend. So we'll see you next week at the same time, and thanks for tuning in.
Cheers, everyone.